Good, how's this? I'm going for it. You busy?
Tony boy, what's up, brother?
Good.
Hey, Steve.
How you doing? How's it?
How are you? Doing good. Thanks for the invite, man. I love this stuff. What a drive, man.
Okay. You were live.
Okay.
So it's pretty. Yeah, we're good.
Hey, how's it going?
How are you?
Tony.
Rob.
I know you from Tony.
Yeah, we probably met somewhere. I'm the co-captain for transit.
Okay.
And since neither one of us has been a captain before.
When are you retiring?
2.5 years. Who took your gig up there for?
At Reebok?
Uh-huh.
I have no idea.
You don't know who's doing that? Anyway, bus certification stuff and all that?
Oh, Aaron Fuller.
Okay. It's hard to find bus drivers now. Nobody wants to get their commercial license.
Well, we had a huge list going when I was there.
Oh, really?
And then, what happened? Just no time to train anybody.
How are you, sir?
Charles in charge. Good to see you.
You're ducking through those raindrops.
Yeah, still driving your high-performance white race car there, I see.
Oh, yes.
Parking in the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
A little wet on the way in.
Yeah. So Tony, this is why I don't play this out.
Yeah.
It took me like an hour and 40 minutes or so to drive.
So you didn't get to
20
run.
miles.
You didn't get to run this morning, you can run this afternoon.
No, jump in.
Then my poor dog really.
Yeah.
What happened? You're leaving?
Yeah. Pouring down rain. Good.
Yes.
Who made that drive?
There's coffee over there, I assume it's for us.
What's that?
There's coffee in the
Oh,
car, I
so
assume it's for us.
Yeah, I'm 34 years of riding a free motorcycle word. How you guys sit in this shit? This is
Oh.
I think the Broadway salon moves if you do that, you're right here. So 110. So you come off of 10 or 60? Which way you come in?
I come in at 60.
60.
That's live, you know. This hour, I go through the park.
Okay, there you go. That'll work. That was 30 seconds faster to take Broadway Solana, but it's all the same.
When you get to Solano, there's a on-ramp to the 110 freeway.
Yeah, and it backs
And it backs everything up because
Yeah.
the left-hand turn to that.
wide open today, which is rare because of the rain. So. It's tough.
I was reading through your notes again. So true.
Yeah, I had to tone it down. But yeah, fun stuff. A lot of that stuff, especially if you're on a camera, you can't tell the story. Just remember for 1 year, a guy was shitty with one of the Sam's. Where's my team? I think the guy was an ass.
That explains
So I went over and I said, it's not your fault, you know? And
That's right.
yeah, he was kind of shitty. He did shit to these little volunteers.
Tanner, you can't forget that one. He's in, you're in trouble. I'm in trouble.
Listen,
Yes.
he's yelling at the good Sam. I don't know where the fuck my team is. I don't have any fucking idea. And he was just a trick. You shut up. You know? Yeah, but his little guys took care of that. Yeah. His whole crew. Funny shit.
In all of the just think about it. It's so rare. How rare do you ever have that happen?
Yeah, extremely rare. But I tell my guys, hey,
But when it pops up, you go, yeah, immediately jump all over it.
yeah, kiss anybody your ass and give it a good Even your guys that pass up the t-shirts at the regular meetings, they let you, and that one old guy's gonna, that's just funny shit.
And you know, I've been to a gazillion events, and I just think that the volunteer corps,
Go.
most of those events are one-time shots.
Yeah.
They go once and then they come back.
Yeah.
And they go out. The organizer has to go find more volunteers.
Yeah.
This is the same people.
Yesterday I was out at the museum out there in Chino, and there were 3 Baker to Vegas communication vehicles there. They were like obviously military because it was their veterans breakfast yesterday at the Chino at the Plains of Fame Museum. I see Baker to Vegas, Leg 11 communications, and he had all this bullshit. It's like
No, I don't have time right
he's
now.
getting all ready. April 4th is a long way off.
Yeah, let me tell you, they outfit those cars. I said in the event vehicle that I drive out there, and it has
Yeah.
like 4 different radios. And I said, well, I can only listen to really one. I just listen to the
And that's
medical
a lot.
radio. The rest of them,
Yeah.
you know, I don't really pay attention to until they have to.
Okay.
Is there any solution for the lack for the dead zones out there at all?
I know, you've done plenty.
Well,
So much.
The biggest solution.
Besides sat phone?
Yeah. And even that is, a sat phone, you have to be perfectly still, and you have to almost aim it at the right level of the. The biggest thing is that all of your planning eliminates that.
Okay.
You plan it all out, and you eliminate the real need to have that guy at that place at that time, because he knows to be there.
Okay.
And if you're at Lake 5 or 6 and there's no communication at all, and you don't want to hear some jackass in Newport Beach that says the 55 is closed,
Right.
what do I do? You're effed. There's nothing you can do. Hey, how did Inky Binky do?
Right.
You'll find out how Inky Binky did in 18 hours. You don't need that kind of crap as a team
I
guy.
don't have to worry about it before I've gone, but I don't have to worry about
Yeah.
All the other
all this
activities.
shit.
Folks are going to be there ahead of time, checking in. A lot of little stuff, and we'll talk about this today. But guys, not where I put my gun in my wallet. Well, you do your gun at home.
Yeah.
10,000 cops there, and
Okay.
a copy of your ID card. Check in, crumple it up, throw it in the trash, throw it in the fire at Lake 14 hours. Check in. I didn't see it. And drop it in the fire. Poof! It burns away. Then I'll have to work up here in the wallet. So you got a copy of your ID. People don't know that. Where do I get my wallet to? Your wallet.
Carry it
It's
now.
like you're carrying it for 6 miles or 12 miles.
Yeah, it's the fact that there's no communication.
It's a challenge.
It's a factor of the race.
To ask you about that, you guys have an enterprise set up for
Really needed
right
was
now.
between the fall
Are
car
they fairly reasonable?
and the exchange point ahead of
Price?
us.
So I don't need to
That
shop around.
short distance of maybe 2 or 3 miles, just to assure that the follow car knows
Follow
he's
the
600
yeah.
is ready to run.
You can do that with a $30 Costco radio.
You can, but there's a lot of static, and we'll talk about this because
Be
there's
glad
road bikers
to,
out there. Trust me,
stick
rent,
around.
there's a
Or is
hose
there
rent
restrictions
for
on
their
what we
radios.
do? Like if we had a
The guy would be at the
sponsor.
finish line at the victory party at the Rio, you turn your radios in, he checks you off, those are gold.
Well, probably a magnet.
$30 radios.
For that one.
Oh, no, I'll rent them.
Hey,
Yeah.
Debbie.
Or if you have someone in your area
These.
that runs what's called a 2-meter radio. 2 meters will go 10 miles, sand hill. But then you gotta go through the communications guide to make sure you're on the But they'll talk about it.
Figure out who
I
was
use
wrong
a
against
couple
Stitzler
of rental
and give
radios.
the check.
Oh, it's probably the
And
attorney.
you guys
for-
get paid,
Rental
Yeah.
radios, hey, we're
We
2
have 2
miles out,
teams.
copy 2 miles out, runners in the chute, and that's it, that's all you gotta do. Then you do your handoff, and then.
Spitzer's not the DA.
I like to keep
No, he
track
is.
of all the times.
Caucus is the one that,
the one
yeah,
that-
yeah.
Brian's time was 39:12.
Spencer took over
Okay, copy
just this year.
39 minutes, 12 seconds.
was,
What's the Timex time is? Houston started at 11:57. Timex time. That's the time he started running. So I mark
You
these
know
down.
what?
That way,
I don't
if
know.
there's,
I
if
don't
there's a problem,
think he was,
like
but
in the middle of the night,
like
LAPD
that.
loses
I
their
don't know.
thing. They'll call you, hey, what time did we
Yeah,
start? He started at 3:10. He ran 49 copy.
There's notes at the bottom of the check.
Timing devices will
We're not
malfunction.
legible enough to figure out what that meant.
We come in last place anyway, we don't give a shit.
Yeah, me too.
But they like to know,
What? I'm not sure.
they like to, they're pretty good on that.
through a process of elimination.
See, our check, that's
What area?
Because
Oh, yeah.
the
We're
investigative
transit
team, the
DOD,
AOC,
yeah, transit DOD and,
They're out there.
yeah,
registration.
so we're the new,
That's how you can tell.
we're the new division. Just on our.
I have, I ran it in 2017.
Transit DSD and,
No, but we,
But I think
for
we
the
have a faster
investigative side, we had like dormant for like
Yeah, it's always
years,
challenging.
2 or 3 years. And that's when we had that conversation on the phone. I said, are we new or are we not new? So. Morning.
the rest of these all those guys.
So, yeah, so I had to ask the question because
Good to see you out. Yeah.
I wasn't sure if we had to sign it.
But all kids, we're gonna pass it too. So we're happy about it.
We're new and improved. How's that? Yeah, sure. You've been doing this for a while, huh? So you retired and you just came back on. See that? See that?
I'm Scott. Lee. That's it. Big picture, Rob.
So does this mean all of your I was gonna say. Yeah.
It's not a fine day, you do it now.
Right. Because it's a year-round thing, right?
Initially, it wasn't, but it always got bigger.
You got it.
Crazy, right? Yeah.
It's funny, I haven't been talking about this one.
This went on.
Yeah.
January, yeah. And of course, there gets,
You lived down in Ontario?
I did, I just moved to West Africa.
So I remember you from the gym. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
I noticed that when I first saw you. Yeah, 24-hour fitness, fitness night, TCLA fitness. I'm in every single gym. I live right there at Bellflower.
Okay, yeah, because I used to get it first, because I used to do that all the time.
Yeah, Bellflower.
I know. I was warned early on. Are you sure you want to do
I
this?
was there all the time.
Yeah, I have 7 ounces in there.
Oh, no kidding.
But
I like chocolate.
I enjoyed the other Saturday at 10. It's just,
Well, unfortunately, I moved to West Africa. Great
yeah. See, I like to get the water at work. You can't do that anymore.
Right.
they do that.
Try your pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta take COVID.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you should get a car.
Right.
Otherwise, you just can't get a workout.
I get them. They leave roses on the bicycle seat.
And you have to
One
find
time I saw a park pantry with a
Right.
wife and kid, and I don't mind. I think it's
No, sure.
I go to pay the bill and say, oh, it's so much money. You're not saying. And there's a note.
It's fun on
Hi, Scott. My name is Dave. I see you
You're
think
actually
you're very
taking it out.
I know you're busy right now, but
It's
call
fun.
me. And it's a 4:50 bill. Oh, God. Oh, my breakfast.
Dealing with the executive, getting
Yeah, it's
Funny shit. Sure. Never a problem. Too many. Right along's over.
used to it there, but it's like still.
Yeah, we're not.
No, we're
Do any of you have checks that you want to give me today?
For a second, I thought we were married.
not the one.
Except she always asks for cash.
Can't figure that out.
I keep telling her, you make more money than I do. That's all your fault. You're both special. Let's say start drinking with us, see what happens. Yeah.
Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started, everybody. Good morning and welcome to the new Team Captains Seminar. If you're coming in, just grab a seat. For those of you that are hungry, we have breakfast, continental breakfast, some coffee, get you going in the morning. I know the drive-in this morning must have been a little tough, but thanks for coming out. I know people are going to stream in as the meeting progresses, but we'll just can't wait too much longer. We'll try to get this going. Restrooms. Men's restroom right here and women's, obviously, and then downstairs in the cafe we have restrooms. The agenda today will be, we'll do a quick history of the race done by Chuck Foote, followed by some communications information that'll be done by Jeff and Blair, and we'll get to that in a second. Then after that is kind of the meat and potatoes of this meeting, where you'll get to see or hear from three very experienced team captains who have been through it all, seen the good, seen the bad, seen the emergencies, see how things can run really well. And I think I sent you an email asking you to prepare questions for them. This will be your one opportunity you get to question these people and figure out what not to do and what to do to make a success for your race coming up. But it's always good to go back and see how this race began, where it all started, and how it's progressed to where we are now, which is basically we're at capacity. 311 teams we're standing at right now, which is a big jump from last year. Last year we started with 284, I believe, and finished with 284. Right now we're standing at 311 teams, probably maybe a few more after today. So with that, I'll introduce you to Chuck Foote. Chuck is the founder of the race 36 years ago. Him and another gentleman named Larry Moore. Larry passed away a number of years back. But Chuck has continued on the tradition and brought this race to the level that you see it today, a worldwide event. And so without trying to pop Chuck's balloon, let me introduce to you Chuck Foote.
Thanks, Tony. Add a little more to that introduction. Tony came on to help Larry and I with this event about 1990, thereabouts, and has been involved with it ever since. So Tony is well versed and well prepared to take over the coordination of this event. Tony mentioned 36 years ago, and believe you me, I can remember 36 years. In between, they get a little fuzzy. But 36 years ago, I can recall very well. And about the same number of people sat in a room, and we thought, okay, can this happen? Can we take 20 runners 200 miles into the desert where there is nothing out there? And I mean, 36 years ago, there wasn't anything out there. Not that there's a lot now, but Las Vegas has boomed since those years began. But be prepared as you were today. I left my house at about 6:10 this morning to get here because I knew in the rain it would be a slow turtle drive out here, and it was an hour and 20 or 30 minutes to get here. In the race, you've got to be prepared for not only bad weather, because that can happen, but tons of traffic. This is a 2-lane road. From Baker, California to Shoshone, from Shoshone to Pahrump is a 2-lane road. And we're not the only folks out there. But just us alone is a tremendous traffic jam. Looks like the 405 freeway at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Just red lights and cars everywhere. So you got to be prepared for all of that. And the fact that you can't get 5 miles in 5 minutes. And your team, now that you are the captain of that team, you're pulling about 40 people with you. 20 runners, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever your alternates, and all of your support people. You're pulling them with you. It's a reflection of you, how organized you can be. The key factor to the race and the success of the race has been the fact that we make you be the organization person. I don't organize your team. Tony does not organize your team. You do that yourself. You do a superb job out there. You'll have no wrinkles, no bumps in the road. Nobody will be lost. You'll get from point A to point B successfully. And you'll walk away from the race feeling very good about yourself. You start depending on people who are flaky. And you'll recognize those very quickly as you go through this organization. Who is a flake on your department? Maybe they're a good cop. Maybe they're a good investigator. Maybe they do their police work job right. But when it comes to something else, they're not so good at it. And then you'll figure that out for yourself very quickly, that they can't do something. And then you have to replace them. So it's that organization that makes the race work. We've increased the race over the years. And I tried to tell Tony this year, you got to slow down a little bit on letting everybody in. It'll outstrip your ability to be coordinated yourself, because every single team brings with them about 50 people. All their cars, all their support, all of that comes with them. And it gets to be a bit complicated if you're not careful here with all of the other organization that has to take place. Running is a business that I've been involved in for about all my adult life, and ran in this race every year myself. Enjoyed it. I'm sure you will enjoy this. It is a satisfying assignment for yourself. You volunteered to do this. I'm sure your department didn't say, you're assigned to do this. I know that didn't happen. So you're the one who raised your hand when everybody else just kind of sat on their hands and said, oh, I don't want to do that. That's too much work. You don't get paid for that. But how many in here, this is your very first ever Baker to Vegas? Okay, most of you then have been on the course before. To those that, the few of you here that have not been on the course before, either as a runner or a support person, at least you've seen it. You've seen what it looks like when you turn the lights off in here and you try to find that door. And it's pitch dark out there. And there's 300 people roaming around an exchange point. You're trying to find one person amongst those 300. And you find out how tough that really is. But you'll find that doing this function, in the end, you may think, oh, after it's all over, oh, you'll never do this again. And then give it a couple of weeks, and then you sort of soften up and say, okay, that was sort of fun. I'll do that again. And we hope that you do come back as a coordination. Tony's right. He's brought in 3 really veteran team captains that have done this many times. It's different from a runner perspective. If you've been runners, and I'm assuming most of you have done that, you know that you go to one spot, put your shoes on, get your bib number, run your stage, get back in your car, and either go home, go back to work, go to Las Vegas, but your job is done. The team captain, from early in the morning Saturday, through all of Saturday, all of Sunday night or Sunday morning, into the finish line before your job is done. And when it's all done, you're going to go, wow, that was about 36 hours of fun. And then it's all over for you. But stay prepared, pay attention to what's going on, ask questions, and the experts here will try to help you. I'll come back and talk a few things about running and training and all of that later on, and give you some expertise that I can there. Good luck.
Before I bring Jeff and Blair up, let's just go around the room and let me know where you're from. You don't have to say your name. I'd just like to hear what agencies you guys representing. I'll start over here. Parole.
Sheriff's Department, Lancaster.
Steve.
LAPD.
Santa Monica College.
Sarah.
Santa Monica College.
Okay.
LAPD Reserve.
Yeah.
LAPD Reserve.
All of you guys. Good.
LAPD.
Orange County DA's office.
CDCR, Lancaster.
Same.
Riverside DA.
Okay.
LAFD, Radios.
Escondido PD. LAPD.
FBI Las Vegas.
Right.
Oh, wow. Welcome.
Vegas, yeah.
CHP.
Charter County Probation.
St. Paul PD.
Monterey Park PD.
Great. Well, thanks for coming out all the way from there. Did you drive out this morning? or-
Yesterday.
All right, great. You know, speaking of teams coming from out of town, we have a team coming from Hamburg, Germany. They've been in the race many times, and they're coming out again. Sent a great little picture yesterday, because they can't just send a check to pay for it, so they sent a picture of them with US dollars of that 2,200. It was really cute. I think I'll send it out in the minutes later on. But and then we have a new team from Oklahoma. Edmond, Oklahoma is coming out too, so first time for them. Little housekeeping things. How many of you intend on picking up your T-shirts for your team today? Anybody? Okay. Did you submit your forms already?
Oh, no.
Okay.
My other guy.
Okay. Not a big deal. How many of you have checks that you intend to pay? I think I've asked that. Nobody here today. All right. So for the next hour, 15 minutes, we'll start out with communications and how important that is for your team. And I'll bring on Jeff Lee and Blair Stevens. Blair lives in San Diego. Woke up what time this morning, Blair? 3:15 to be here today. So shows the dedication we have on some of our volunteers for Baker to Vegas. Without further ado, let me introduce to you Jeff Lee, Communications Coordinator.
Good morning. Can you guys hear me okay? Yes. Excellent. So the presentation I'm going to give is on communications. It's a really important part of what you do as a team captain, and obviously it's not the only thing that you do. This used to be an 8-hour seminar that got cut down to 4, that got cut down to 2.5, and I'm going to do it in an hour today. So I'm going to talk fast. You need to interrupt me with questions, because if you don't interrupt me with questions, we're probably just going to blow right past it. And then the other thing we're going to talk about, because it integrates with communications a lot, we'll have Blair Stevens with San Diego PD. We'll talk briefly about what Safety Patrol's role is and what they do, and what their role would be if we have to put a pause in the race this year or not. So please, do interrupt me with questions, okay? And if I'm talking too fast or you can't hear me, let me know, because I can certainly talk a lot louder. Okay, this is Chuck Foote at the first race, the first year, before there were cell phones and all this. Do you really need to communicate? If you talk to Scott, he'll tell you that he's been doing this for 180 years and he has no communications plan and he's never had a problem. I'm 10 years retired. My last place I worked for 9 years was San Diego DA, and we had 20 responsible adults that came out and ran and were in the right spot, and we didn't have a communications plan either. And some other people do some really elaborate things. So it's kind of up to you to make a decision on what level of communications you want to do. Okay? All team captains want to know, okay, are we ahead or behind schedule? Because as the team captain, your runners are going to be, am I really getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning? Am I really getting up at 11? What time do we need to get out on the race course? You also kind of want to know, what's the weather? Is it really snowing in Mountain Springs Pass? Is it really 108 degrees at the start line? Okay. And the other really important thing that team captains want to know is, did anybody get hurt? And if they did get hurt, did they get transported? And if they did get transported, where'd they go? Because we have quite a number of options on where people can go if they get injured during this race. So you need to be able to communicate out if there's an emergency on the race course. Okay, that's one of the most important things. There will be times it will be your follow vehicle and your runner and no one else within sight on this race course, and if there's an emergency, you've got to have a plan on how you're going to get help. Okay? The other thing is, and this is really important, we need to be able to reach you if there's an emergency back at home. Little Johnny got run over in the driveway on his tricycle because somebody backed out of the driveway, and your runner needs to get home right now. Okay, so the communications thing goes both ways. Oops. Hang on. Can't do everything with remote control. All right, for you helicopter pilots, this is what it looks like. All right, so has anybody never been out on a race course? Okay, good. So you know it, like, it's desert to mountains, and the only reason I show this map is because there's a lot of mountains, there's a lot of valleys, there's a lot of problems out there that make it difficult to communicate when you're out on this race course. Okay, so on paper it looks like this, and as you can see, we run along the edge of mountain ranges. We go through. Oh, this is going to work. We go through canyons. We go up through mountains, and we go down to a major metropolitan area. The challenges of being able to communicate on this race course, it's just huge. There's 4 counties. If you took the 4 counties that this race runs through, and if it was a state, it would be larger than half the states in the United States. Okay? It's that much territory that we're talking about. Okay? The race runs through 2 states, California and Nevada. It runs over, if you do a box around this race, 6,500 square miles is what this race course lays out on. Okay? It's if you draw a box around the whole race course, we're larger than Connecticut, Delaware, and Rhode Island combined. So we're talking a lot of area that you need to be able to communicate across. And it's not as easy as it looks. Right? We go from 470 feet up to almost 5,500 feet, going over Mountain Springs. So there's a lot of challenges with terrain. About a third of the race course, we used to say half, but about a third of the race course has no cell phone coverage. And if you're like everybody else, you're just used to whipping your phone out and checking your internet or sending a text message or calling somebody, and there are places out there that you cannot do this. There is no service. Also, in the areas where the service is extremely weak, it will suck the life out of your cell phone batteries. Because if you don't know it, your cell phone keeps turning up the power more and more as it gets to a weaker signal. If you've got a cell phone vehicle, make sure you have a cord in your car to charge it with. All right, so let's talk about some of the things you have to do. Okay? You have to have an FRS, or Family Radio Service radio, in your follow vehicle. Okay? This is one of the rules. It's chapter 10 of the rules. You have to have one. Okay? It has to be set on channel 3, tone 18. Okay? Channel 3, tone 18 is reserved exclusively for the follow vehicles in the race. Which means, if you did not inherit some FRS radios from people that did this before you, or whatever, you have to go buy some, or acquire them, or whatever you're going to do, make sure you get the radios that have both channels and tones. There are some really cheap radios out there that only have the channels on them and they don't have the tones. So it has to be capable of both channels and tones. Okay? The radios are used to communicate with the nearby follow vehicles. There is a specific procedure that is used when you're passing or being passed by another team. It's also used for us to yell at you. If you didn't have an FRS radio, Blair and I and everybody else couldn't yell at you during the race. And we gained the most pleasure at all from yelling at you. No. We need to be able to tell you things like, did you know your sign is falling off? Did you know you lost your runner ahead sign? Where's your yellow light? Things like that. So we also have to have these radios to be able to talk to you during the race. This FRS radio that you need in your follow vehicle, set to channel 3, tone 18, is not for your team communications. You are not to use this radio and this channel to say, checkpoint 3, here we come, get ready with the new runner. You'll be penalized for that. Okay, this is strictly for race operations, talking to the other teams and talking to the race officials. Any questions about that? This is mandatory. I would say buy at least 2 of them. Okay? Only for this purpose. Because if you have one, it will break. If you have 2, the first one will never break, but at least you have one that works. So have at least 2 of these things in your follow vehicle. Like I said, they need the tones as well as the different channels. Okay? Most of these radios, when you buy them, and you can get them at Walmart, Kmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever, most of them come with rechargeable batteries. The problem is, the rechargeable batteries are not going to last for the whole race. So almost all of them, the batteries are like in a little pack and they're shrink wrapped, and you can like usually pull a little cord or something. Those rechargeable batteries will come out, and you can put batteries in the radio. Throwaway batteries. If you have a choice when you're buying radios, or you didn't inherit them from somebody before you, try and get the ones that take the AA batteries. Okay? Does everybody know the difference between the AA and the AAA? The AAAs are like half as skinny. If you use AAA batteries, you'll go through 6 or 7 sets of batteries during the race. If you have the AAs, you should probably make it on 2 sets of batteries. Carry 3 sets of batteries with you. Okay? If your radio dies in the middle of the race, especially at like 4 o'clock in the morning out in the middle of nowhere, and we're trying to call you on the radio, you're not going to be happy, because then we're going to pull up next to you and start banging on your window. Okay? Because you could be penalized if your radio's not working. Make sure you have enough batteries to take you through the race. A lot of people use headsets in the follow vehicle, or a little earpiece, a little earbud, or something. It's not as people aren't using them as much as they used to, because years ago we used to have a lot of people have big speakers on the front of their follow vehicles to blast music at their runners. I don't see that as much as anymore. But it wouldn't hurt to have an earbud for your radio. This allows the passenger to hear the radio and not miss a call, which is a bad thing. Over all the noises that are going on out there, you can be penalized each time if you miss a call. I'm gonna talk a lot today about penalties. Nobody here wants to penalize anybody for anything. We really don't. We will do everything we can to work with you to not penalize you. And Tony or Chuck or somebody maybe later on will talk a little bit about the most common penalties and things like this. I can guarantee you if we can't get a hold of you on the radio after trying 20 times, we're probably going to penalize you. I can guarantee you if you sideswipe my truck during the race and flee the scene, we're going to penalize you. I'm only speaking from experience from last year. Yeah, it happened last year. Okay? If you hit somebody out there, we're going to penalize you. Other than that, again, I'm going to keep saying penalty, penalty, penalty. We don't want to penalize you. Okay? So learn what the rules are and just comply with the rules. We won't have a problem. Some of these radios have a feature called VOX, voice activated transmit. Make sure that this is not turned on. What this function does on some radios is as soon as it hears something, it keys up the radio without you touching it. The last thing we want to hear on channel 3 tone 18 is, wow, look at her. She could run for my team any day that she wants. Or wow, look at him. He has no business being out here running. Turn that function off. Okay? Do not use Vox.
Did you say open mic?
Yeah. So, and if you have an open mic, after we're entertained for a certain period of time, we will then come up to you and tell you to turn it off. A lot of the radios also have a lock function. Okay? Once you set the radio to channel 3, tone 18, you can lock it there so that when you drop the radio or whatever, it won't lock it on channel 4 or channel 2 or something like that. So try and get a FRS radio that locks. The passenger should be the one listening to the radio. Okay, your tactical officer in the passenger seat should be the one monitoring the radio, not the driver. So this is typically what they used to look like a few years ago. This radio has both channels and tones. Usually it's a big number and a little number. This particular radio is set to channel 14, tone 38. Okay. So you're looking for a radio that has both channels and tones. This one has a lock function, a little padlock in the display. No matter which brand you buy, there's really only 2 companies that make the chips that run these radios. They all basically do the same thing. That's what they look like. If you're going to use one of these, contact me. All right, CB radio is the next thing up. They're cheap. Okay, go on eBay for $1.50. The range varies, but they will go further than FRS or GMRS radios. Coordination is required, and of course the thing with CB radios is that there may be some people out there that are not necessarily from a law enforcement background that use CB radios, if you catch my drift. So you will hear the truckers and you will hear all the little people in the neighborhood and from the People's Republic of Pahrump and all that kind of stuff. So I do have a couple of teams that use CB radios every year. They say they like them, they say they get good distance out of them and all that kind of stuff. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but it is an available option. Kind of what a typical one looks like, pretty cheap. The good thing about them is that they're not handheld. You can slap an antenna on your roof, plug this thing in your cigarette lighter, and you'll have better communications. All right, a thing called MURS, or business band radios. Again, we're moving up in cost, we're moving up in power, which means we're moving up to a longer range. They're available as both portable and mobile radios. In other words, handheld and car-mounted radios. There are some frequencies that don't require an FCC license. You can buy a MURS radio, have a reasonably priced and reasonably powered radio, and not have an FCC license. The problem is, there's 5 frequencies on MURS, and I always get more than 5 requests for it. So you will be sharing a channel with somebody else. And I do the best I can to spread them out. Like somebody who's starting at 8 in the morning and somebody who's starting at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But that is an option if you don't have a license. Coordination is required. You have to tell me you're doing this. Okay? This is typically what they look like. A couple of different examples of handhelds. Example of a mobile radio. And business band radios can be, other than MURS, there's all sorts of things. I got teams that come out and they're licensed for 20 different frequencies and they use them. I got teams that come out and use only MURS. They don't have any licenses, but they have like 20 of these radios. It works really well for them. It's just a good option. Now this is above and beyond rental radios, which I'll talk about in a minute. But there's MURS and business band radios. A subset of that is rental radios. This is very popular. Almost half the teams rented radios last year. Okay, this has really gotten good because of some things that have happened out on the race course. It's taken us a while to get there, but we've got some good infrastructure out there now. There are companies in both LA and Las Vegas that will rent you radios. Who rented radios last year? Anybody know? What'd you pay? $30? $300? For how many radios? Dozen? 10?
2 or 3 base stations and maybe 10 handhelds.
Yeah, so 10 handhelds and a couple base stations. You can put a base station in your hotel room. You can put Scott's back there going, no, this is way too much stuff. There's people that go whole hog. They'll put a mobile radio in their follow vehicle. The team captain will have one in the hotel, and all the cashiers will have one. But you can rent as many or as little as you want. Some of the companies will actually bring the radios to you on Friday night at the meeting at the hotel, and they will pick them up from you on Sunday at the awards ceremony. It's one less thing that you have to worry about as a team captain. It's like, hey, I wrote a check or I did a credit card. I show up, my radios are there, and when I'm done, I leave my radios there and I don't have to worry about it. That seems to be pretty popular. As you look at the different companies and the different options that are available, this is one of the things you should ask them. Do you deliver, and do you charge extra to deliver, or is it free? You will find that it varies by company to company. Okay, and they have a lot of the handheld equipment similar to the MURS and business band radios, as well as the ones that you can put in the vehicle. Scott?
I would recommend using the ones where the gentleman, where you pick them up Friday and drop them off at the awards banquet on Sunday. That guy will be right there. You turn them all in on the spot. Their batteries are charged. They're awesome. But do not bring 15 of them, because you'll hand them off to somebody, and that somebody will drive away, and you'll never see that radio is $1,400. And it's, the security is on your credit card. Maybe one base station and 4 little radios is all. It's just about all you need. And if you depend on a rental company in your own city, if they have a big movie getting filmed, like happened in 1992, they filmed a shootout here in LA called Heat, so half of LAPD didn't have their rental radios because every rental radio was gone. Long Beach Grand Prix took every radio. So make sure, use the vendor that's gonna show up at Baker to Vegas and take that stress off you right now.
Do you have his contact information?
You'll get it at the next couple meetings or two.
I've got the names coming up here in another slide. So. No, Scott brings up a good point. You can scale this to whatever you want. You can have a couple radios, you can have a dozen radios. It just depends on what your budget allows and what you think you need.
Little posty stick-it note on your agency, because that radio gets left on the hood of a car, someone drives off, again, $1,500, it's more than an iPhone. I put little post-it notes on all the batteries and all the radios, and a couple times, hey, we got your, Lakewood Sheriff has your radio at Lake 17. Hey, where's your radio, dipshit? Well, oh God, I dropped it. So put your name on every piece of radio equipment with a sticky note.
Yes, my entire team plays Find the Radio, and we have a scavenger hunt. We always come up with something out there. So.
Yep, 2 or 3 of them.
2 or 3. Yeah, I wouldn't even use a sticky note. I'd use like a piece of like gaffer's tape or blue tape or something that's gonna.
Blue tape works.
Blue tape works great, and they won't charge you for getting sticky on it. So here's what's really happened with rental radios. So there is a company called Mobile Relay Associates that has invested their own money in putting up a trunked radio system. Anybody ever heard the term trunk radio system? Nobody? Okay. So it's a computer-controlled radio system and a few channels, but it allows lots of users. It shares. It's whiz-bang. It works good. A lot of municipalities outside of LA have these. So they've installed this infrastructure out there. It allows communications across the race course and beyond. You can technically talk from the race course back to LA. Okay. You can rent these radios through, as far as I know, there's still just 2 companies renting on the system. Mobile Relay Associates, they come to the meetings. They're a sponsor of the race, and they have a booth. Omni Communications in Las Vegas is the other one. They're on MRA's system. They're former LAPD people. They're both good companies to work with. They have handheld and mobile radios. Like these gentlemen up here said, they got a couple of base stations or mobile to put in a follow vehicle, and then they had some handhelds. You can also mix things up. You can have a couple of these things for maybe just the follow vehicle, the team captain, and your hotel room, and then have the FRS radios for your catchers. You know, you come up with whatever is in your budget and works for you. But the trunked radio system has gotten better. I would say be leery of anybody that walks up to you and says, our system has 100% wall-to-wall coverage from LA to Las Vegas. Because anybody that tells you that, there's no such thing as 100% coverage. You will find a spot where your radio doesn't work. Okay? But they have gotten better. They work well with us as far as coordinating stuff. If you rent radios, all I need to know from you is I rent radios from blank. And I will contact the company directly and get all the information. All you have to do. Costs vary a lot. Who else were you guys? So you guys said $300. Who else rented radios last year? Anybody? What did you guys pay?
About $370.
About $370 for how many radios?
3 base stations and 2 handhelds.
Wow, okay. So the cost will vary on it. If it's in your budget, though, it's not a bad option. Most of them come with the insurance. If you drop it, if you run over it, if you whatever, then it's covered. Okay. check that too. That's another question to ask them. Do you deliver? Do you deliver for free, and is insurance included? Okay, these are some of the companies that were used last 2 years. Omni and Mobile Relay Associates are two biggest ones that people rent from. The difference in those two companies is, and here's another consideration you might have. One company will only give you a trunked radio that works on the trunking system through the repeaters. The other company will give you a radio that has both a trunking frequency for your team and a secondary backup direct channel in that radio. So that if their repeaters go down, or you're just talking to your catcher coming up at the next stage, you don't have to go through the massive repeater system. You can talk direct radio to radio. So that's another question to ask them. Do you offer a secondary channel, direct channel, or not? People rent from Day Wireless, PCI Race Radios, VisionComs, and Bearcom. This list used to be about 20-something companies, and this is what it's kind of shaken out to in the last couple of years. Like I said, almost everybody rents from Omni or Mobile, and about half the teams rent radios on it. All right, questions about, rental radios is a complicated subject, but you can talk to the vendors at the team captain's meeting. If MRA is here and Omni's not, or vice versa, call the other company. Do some comparison shopping. Maybe get a good deal. Questions about rentals? Really? No? Okay. Satellite phones are very expensive. Unless you're, who's a federal agency in here? Got your own satellite phones? She's looking at her. Do we have federal phones?
No.
No, that'd be a no. Unless you're a federal agency and my taxpayer dollars are paying for your satellite phone, you're going to find that they're very expensive. Per minute charges and rental charges are very expensive. There's not a lot of success stories. It's actually hard to get a signal. People think, satellite phone, all I got to do is be able to see up there, right? Most of the satellites are actually out on the horizon. Okay, they're not directly overhead. And when you get into the canyons and things like that, you cannot get a signal on it. I don't know any team that has rented them 2 years in a row. Because it was either way too expensive or they just didn't work. Okay? So some teams will talk about satellite phones, but be careful and weigh your cost options if you're doing that. Agency radios. Hey Jeff, why don't I just go to the cash radio bank at my agency and grab 6 extra radios and take off from Baker to Vegas? That sounds like a great idea, right? It's free, right? They belong to the agency. They owe me, right? All right, there could be a really significant cost if you take your agency radios out there. If you lose a radio, you can compromise your agency's communications. You can compromise your agency's encryption if you lose a radio that's encrypted on it. Do you really want to be that guy who lost the radio, or gal who lost the radio out there on the race course? I don't think so. I don't think I want my name associated with that new rule. The biggest problem we have, though, is people will bag their radios from their agency and they will take them out there. Agency radio frequencies are assigned by the FCC and they're reassigned as you go across the country. It's like radio stations. There could be a 99.9 FM here and there could be a 99.9 FM in San Diego. Okay? You can take your agency radio with all good intentions in the world and go out there on the race course and find that you're on some frequency out there that these people live out there every day and work out there every day. That will put you afoul of your agency FCC license. Or if you're a federal agency with your NTIA coordination. You want to be that person. Now this is the one thing that the FCC will really not look away from. If you're interfering with another law enforcement agency, they will take action. That's one of the few things they still do. Okay? These are some, this may be hard to read, but here's an example. Is anybody here from Oxnard PD? Good, because you're the reason why my position exists. Oxnard PD brought their radios out. We're at Radios Channel 2, it's our talk around channel. Nobody uses that, we just use that to chit chat when we're working. It's the same frequency as the prompt sheriff. Prompt sheriff did not have a good sense of humor the year that they came out here and did this. Ask Chuck. They were not happy about it. They wanted to tow away their black and white and a bunch of other stuff. Okay? These are just a lot of examples of some other agencies that have conflicted with Mutual Aid Channel, San Bernardino County stuff, Las Vegas stuff, prompt stuff. So your own agency radio, there's a reason that you have the frequencies you are and you have geographic restrictions. This is a copy of an FCC license that probably means nothing to you except Your agency is licensed to use a frequency. It's licensed to use it only in a certain area and only in a radius around a certain point, usually the center of your city or your county. Okay? And that's what they look like. So if you bring your agency radio out there, if you're from, Oakland, and you bring your radio out to Pahrump, you could be on the same frequency, and you are the one who is not playing by the rules, and you're the one that's going to get in trouble. So don't do it. Okay? Questions about agency radios? Doing okay? Too fast, too slow? Shut up, keep talking? Keep talking. All right. Amateur radios. Another solution or another option is using amateur radio support for the race. The race itself actually runs on amateur radio. Okay, we deploy over 350 amateur radio operators to make this race work, between all the stages and between operations and between safety patrol and a lot of the other branches of the race. It's one of the few radio services that they can actually pick their own frequencies that they want to use. Okay, they have a wide variety of equipment that they can use. They have base stations and mobiles and handhelds. They can put repeaters up. They can use repeaters that already exist. They're out there. Where do you find these people? Your department may have what's called a RACES or an ACS, Auxiliary Communications, or DCS, Disaster Communication Service Group, may already exist. Or your county may have one. You may have CERT teams. Have you ever heard of CERT teams? Community Emergency Response Teams. You may have an amateur radio club in your community. The Salvation Army has a strong amateur radio component. Blair used them for a couple of years. They were a great help. Provided a lot of resources. The Red Cross has a large amateur radio component. Kaiser Permanente Hospital Network has a large group of amateur radio operators as well. They're out there. There's a lot of them. They're out there. Another thing we can do is, using amateur radio, we can actually track your vehicle and put it on a map that you can access. Okay? We set up a complete infrastructure for this across the whole race network. This used to be really popular. We used to have 60-something teams that did this, and we're down to about 12. So how long we continue to support, I'm not sure. The only problem is you have to be somewhere that you can actually look it up if you want to see where your follow vehicle is. There's a 99.5% chance your follow vehicle is behind your runner. If you look up on the map and your follow vehicle is going 45 miles an hour, it's not behind your runner. Okay? This is, okay. If you want to do this, you can contact me for more information or contact the amateur radio operators. It's your responsibility to do it. A lot of teams have this stuff. San Diego County has an amateur radio group that works out of the Sheriff's Department. They track every San Diego County vehicle. That's their job. That's what they do. They track like 9 vehicles for all the teams. This is kind of it's kind of hard to see. It's kind of what it looks like. That blue line is the race course, and every red dot is a position report. So if you can see that, it's pretty good. I mean, we've got pretty decent coverage on it. But if you go back to one of my very first slides, remember, team captains want to know, where are we? Are we on time, ahead of time, behind time? There's a way to know that. All right, questions about anything to do with amateur radio, vehicle tracking? If you want to use amateur radio, and who's a ham radio operator in here? Anybody? Excellent. Don't blur with your hand. So you I would trust to fill out the form. For the rest of you, you need to find an amateur radio operator and do all that work. Okay, because it can get a little complicated. But they're free. They work good.
They work for t-shirts and food.
Yeah, they work for a hat or a t-shirt. So, all right, this is the most important part about what you're going to talk about. If you forget everything I've already told you, you need to remember this part. Well, actually, don't forget channel 3, tone 18. It's mandatory. The online communications forum. So what this is a way for me to take your input about what you think you're going to do for communications, and for me to bless it and say, I don't see you conflicting with the Pahrump Sheriff. I don't see a problem. You will or will not be sharing your frequency with some other team. And it's a way to get things set up nice and in advance so we don't have to worry about a lot of problems on race day. Okay? It's all cloud-based, web-based stuff. Tony will put a link up on the website as we get closer to the date. This is web-based. You could do it Apple, Windows. People are starting to fill these things out on their phone. I've seen that now. The international teams are filling them out. It's awesome. I'm like, you got a form from Australia, really? This is the filing period. Jeff, why don't you start filing today? Because every day I have to babysit this and look at the forms. So I will do this for a month. January 17th, the form will go live. February 14th is the deadline. That's 7 weeks before race weekend. Okay, so you kind of have to start thinking ahead as a team captain. You're going to have a plan. Please don't call me on Thursday night going, hey, I was thinking about my comp plan and I wonder if I could do this. Too late. You need to have a comp plan in advance. I will make the occasional exception as we get closer to race time. I'm completely bribable. Okay? But really, you need to think this out. This is one of the reasons there's a deadline. Plus, I've got to make things happen between February 14th and race weekend to make sure everything goes good. If you don't turn in your form by the February 14th, there is a penalty. Again, we don't want to penalize you, but you're going to get an email from Tony and me, and then you're going to get another email in larger font, and then you're going to get an email with high priority and really large font, and then we're going to start calling you. And then if you don't turn the form in by race weekend, you can't run it. We will literally not give you your baton at the start line. So we will hunt you down. Don't make us do that. Make my job easy, okay? It's simple. Every year I make it simple. The key to everything in Baker to Vegas, and especially on this form, is your team number. Not last year's team number, this year's team number. Okay? They change every year based on where you finish. You have to put in on the form your team number and your team name. Please don't put in Uber Fast Road Runners, because I don't know what department you are. I have to match it up because you may find this hard to believe, but some people don't know their team number, or they can't type in 3 digits on the computer. Don't put abbreviations. What does SBCDA stand for? Any guesses? San Bernardino County DA, Santa Barbara County DA, San Bruno County DA, San Bruno City DA. Yeah, spell it out, please. Okay. Don't put the PD.
Might be PD.
Yeah, SO. Great. 37 sheriff's teams from LASO. I need more information. Okay. So spell it out. Okay. Do me a favor. All right. So you need to know a few things before you sit down at your computer and you fill out this form. You need a communications contact person who can answer my questions. I already know that's not everybody sitting in this room. That's fine. Make yourself a deputy team captain in charge of communications and let them deal with me. Okay? So if you don't know anything about what a CB radio is or an FRS radio or rentals, or if you don't know any of this stuff and you don't want to deal with it, list the person who is willing to work with me and answer my questions if you don't fill your form out right. Okay? It's really important. Because I call people all the time, they're like, I don't know it, it's our PD radio channel 2. Channel 2 does not do me any good. You need to know also, before you start filling this form out, that we've added some other race stuff that the race needs too. We need to know the name and phone numbers of 2 responsible adults. I know, hard enough finding 20 runners. 2 responsible adults who will actually answer their phone during the race. This means at 2 o'clock in the morning, or 4 o'clock in the morning, or 8 o'clock in the morning. Because, like I said, we have to communicate both ways. You guys need to call out if you have an emergency, but if little Johnny got run over at home, we need to get a hold of you. Okay? We have penalized a team in the past. They provided us with 2 bogus numbers, and we had to call them, and nobody would answer the phone. I won't do that. 2 responsible adults. Do not put your dispatch center down there. Communications, Bob. Hey, Bob, I'm trying to get a hold of so-and-so at the race. What race? No, I need people that are out there in Vegas, in Prom, wherever you are. We need 2 people that will be responsible adults to answer the phone, because we have a person that does nothing but reach out to you if somebody gets hurt. Okay? We have a liaison officer for our injury people. This is the information that person gets for emergency contacts. So you got it, and don't put the same, it will let you put the same name and number in twice, but I will call you the next day and say, try again. All right, so give me 2 people. All right, and if you have to change it later, fine, but I can't accept the form until I have 2 responsible adults in their phone numbers. Then you're going to need to know your technical information on your radio equipment. All right, if you don't know it, find somebody that knows it. What radio frequencies are we using? What CD channel do we want? Whatever. You can't do part of this and stop. You got to go from start to finish when you do this. Okay, so have a plan, sketch it on a napkin, and then do the form. Okay, a couple things we're going to try and do this year, and we've been doing the last couple of years. Any amateur radio stuff. All the rest of you will probably make no sense, but for you, now it's going to be an ICS 205 form. Your amateur radio operators will know what that is. Okay, it's a separate form. You don't even have to deal with it as a team captain anymore. You're going to tell me, my amateur radio person is so-and-so. I will talk to that person directly, and that's all you have to worry about. Okay? If you are renting radios, it used to be, if you've done this for several years, we used to try and get you to give me technical information. That was a tremendous failure year after year. I have agreements with 2 major rental companies now that if you rent radios and you rent them under your correct team name and number, they will give me all the information I need. I'm going to rearrange the form this year, so when you log on, name, number, emergency contact info. Question number 1, are you renting radios? Yes. From who? Yes. Thank you. That's all I need for rental radios. And I will get all the information from them. Is that great? Okay, you don't have to worry about that stuff. This is from a couple of years ago, but this is kind of what it looks like. You log on, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to tell you all things you can do wrong. Give me your name and your team number. Okay? Down at the bottom. If you make a mistake, you leave something blank, it will yell at you, it will highlight it, say, hey, you got to fill this in. Okay? So it'll tell you what you're doing right and wrong. I need the communications contact person, and I need the 2 emergency contacts. So this is the second page. Okay? The communications contact person can be one of your emergency contacts, that's fine. As long as it's somebody that will actually answer their phone during the race. Okay? The last thing on this page too is, we want to know if you're setting up a command post or something out on the race course. A lot of teams will set up an RV in Shoshone, or they'll set up an RV in Pahrump, or they'll be at the Best Western in Pahrump. Give us that information, because in a worst case scenario, if we need to get a hold of you with an emergency, we will send a runner to your camp. Okay, so that's the backup to your emergency contacts. And we've actually had to do that once. Okay, so if you have that information, please let me know. That's what that part is right there. Okay. All of these fields, if you hover over them or put the cursor on them, it brings up extra help on the right. I can't remember what it is. I try and make it as deputy-proof as I can. Okay. All right. And then this is going to be a little different, but it's going to ask you a couple basic questions. Are you using any communications? If you're Scott from CHP and you don't use communications and you never have, you give me your team name, you give me your contact information, you click go, and you're done. That's all you got to do. But everybody has to fill this form out because we need your emergency contact information. That's it. You don't have to go through and check no 20 times. You click no. I'm on the Scott Wall plan. No communications. If you are using stuff, it starts asking you questions. Are you using GMRS? Are you using FRS? Blah, blah, blah. You just yes, no, give me the data. That's all you got to do. Those pages only show up if you answer yes to those questions. If you're doing ham radio stuff, just tell me who it is. I'll go talk to them directly. And then there's a room for additional comments. Hey Jeff, you're doing a great job. Tell Tony to double your pay. Hey Jeff, we're handing out free steaks at the finish line. So no, you can give, if you need to feed me any more information, do it there. Okay? And that's it. You get a little thing that says, congratulations, you made it to the end of the form. Does not mean you're done. I will look it over, then you'll get an email. This is what you typed in. Okay? And then you will get a confirmation letter from me. So after February 17th, whatever day I said, I go through all this stuff and make sure everything's good. No conflicts. We're not going to mess up prompt sheriff, anything like that. I give you a little letter, for lack of a better term. Hey, this is what you said you're going to do. I think it's great. Have a nice race. By the way, here's your emergency contacts. If this changes, let me know. Keep that. Carry it with you during the race. Okay? Not like it's going to get you out of jail and keep your car from being towed away, but keep that with you if there's a problem. And this is what you're approved to use without being penalized. Because if there ever is a rules infraction or something, and you're like, no, Jeff said I could do this. Okay, have that letter with you. I have them all with me too, but have them with you. Review it, make sure it's accurate. Here's the other thing. If you fill this form out and you give me an email address that doesn't work, you'll never get your letter. Okay? And you won't be allowed to start the race. Please type your email address correctly. Contact me if something changes. I just got to cut it off at some point and do my job. Well, I understand there will be last minute changes. So that's kind of what it looks like. I'm actually going to make it even a little simpler this year. Hey, this is what you said you're going to do. Have a nice race. Give me a call. Questions on that? You log on it. Your name and your team number. Who your contact people are. Are you doing comms? Are you renting radios? Are you doing anything else? That's it. Most people, 10 minutes, they're done with the form. Okay. If you fill out the form, try and only have one person from your team fill out the form. Every year I get like forms from 3 different people from the same team, and they don't even have the same comp plan on them. One year I got forms from 2 same team numbers, and they were 2 different teams. And that's the only way we caught the fact that we assigned the same team number to 2 teams. So it's really important you get all that information correct. Okay, for the amateur radio people, they're going to fill out those forms. Since then you guys are doing this, I don't think. They'll know what it is. That's what it looks like. That's Riverside's. All right, questions about the form? All right, last thing, rules. Chapter 10 is the rules for all the communications. Not because we like handing out penalties, but we have to have a little bit of control. And rule number 1 is to keep the boss out of trouble, right? You got to get your forms in by February 14th. There's a 5-minute penalty, which for most of you makes absolutely no difference in the world. But if you're a highly competitive team, it can make the difference. If you never ever turn this form in, literally, I will snatch the baton out of your hands and say you can't run. Okay? If you are doing stuff that you didn't tell me about, if you're doing stuff that you told me about, but then you do your own thing, if you're using something you built in your garage, if you're interfering with people, these are all things that could disqualify you. It's not like we sat around one night and started drinking and made up these rules. Everything here happens. Okay? So just keep it simple. Go with a quick little plan. You won't have any problems. Okay? Ham radio's got a bunch of rules. Digital stuff. Here's a question I already know the answer is no from all of you. Who's planning on using digital communications during the race? Perfect. If you are FRSing and you're on the wrong channel, you can be penalized. If you're doing your team communications on channel 3, tone 18, you will be penalized. Don't do it. Okay? If you're doing anything you didn't tell me about, you can't be disqualified. Here's the deal. My job is to keep Tony out of trouble. Okay? My job is to keep Chuck out of trouble for years, and I'm going to keep Tony out of trouble. We need to go out there and be good neighbors. We put a lot of people out in the middle of nowhere. And the people that live out there are not used to this many people being in one place at one time, except maybe in Vegas. So we want to be good neighbors when we're out there. There's a lot of other things going on besides the interaction between me and you as team captains. We've got a complete communications plan for the medical team. Safety Patrol has a communications plan. Motors have a communications plan that Scott was talking about. The RV support group, the people that check you guys in and hand out bib numbers and you do your waivers, they have a communications plan. So not only do I have to do all the stuff from all of you guys and make it all work, I've got to then make it all fit together when we do this. Okay? There were 643 coordinated frequencies last year in the race. So it's a lot of work. That's one reason I need you to make sure you help me out and make the deadline so I can make this stuff all work. By the way, enough said? Not quite sure who that is, but
They don't have their team number on there?
no. Well, not when the picture was taken. No.
That's Tony's truck.
Yeah. Actually, I think that was Chuck's truck since it was his last year. Here, but please don't label your truck this way. All right, that's me. The best way to get a hold of me is by email. I gave you my phone number, but I never answer my phone. So, and besides, I talk to 300-something teams and everything else. I need to know who I talk to and what I said. So, you can get a hold of me at B2V at that email address. Ask me questions. Don't ask me if the form is available tomorrow. It's not until January. Okay. But seriously, if you're not sure, ask me. Please fill your forms out correctly, and please make sure you have your follow vehicle FRS radio. That was very high speed when we go through any questions about communications. And again, you can go from a Scott plan of none to something that's really, really complicated. Okay, another thing that's really important on communications is you and your team and your follow vehicles may interact with Safety Patrol during the race. Safety Patrol was put in place to be an extra set of eyes and ears on the runners and to look for runners that are in distress that maybe nobody else is recognizing. Blair Stevens, who's still active with San Diego PD, pilot with San Diego PD, gave you an overview on what they do and how they might talk to you during the race and all that. No,
So those of you that have never been on the course, there's an extra set of eyes and ears out there called Safety Patrol. It was in response to a catastrophe that happened in 2010 with a hurt runner. I manage a team of about 30 volunteers. About 6 of them are in a command post on Ibex Pass, if you guys know where that is. The rest of them are in the field. It's teams of 2 per vehicle, and they're on a beat. Their beat is that stage. So from start line to 8, we have at least 1 patrol unit per stage, and then I have extra 5 or 6 units if I can staff it accordingly to rove around and cover the areas. Our job is to be that extra layer in case there's a problem. That problem could be, I pulled out a 15-passenger van from the sand one time. I've got a 4x4, so I'm ready to do that. Most of the time, what we're doing is we're checking on your runner. If your follow vehicle needs to stop, okay? It's been tried, but without success, to go to the bathroom and drive a follow vehicle, okay? It's a bad idea. There are places to do that safely on the course. If my patrol folks are close to your follow vehicle and you need help in any way, shape, or form, you need batteries to your FRS radio, you need a light, your light doesn't work. If you hear patrol something, call your van on the radio. It's to tell you your sign fell off or your light's not working. Or where's your runner? Well, he left the stage, we're doing a driver swap. Okay, we'll take care of your runner. They're labeled patrol with a number. It's 1 through 8 or 21 through about 25. There's a safety 1, which is me, and a safety 2, which is a cohort of mine that we split the duties of the area. We're there to help you guys, all right? These I have volunteers, they're hams. I can't express to you, if you've not worked with volunteers at your police department, how happy these hams are to be out helping the cops, okay? They drive from all over the Southwest. I got Arizona, Ventura County, LA, San Diego, Riverside, San Bernardino. They love to come and help the cops. They do it for a t-shirt. So they're not there to write you violations. They're there to help your runners. If your runner needs help, talk to us. We've got communications with the med teams, so if your runner goes down and all you have is an FRS radio like Scott's team, say, hey, bib 188's down at call box 24 Ibex Pass. Okay, cool, scoop and go. If you don't know it, your follow vehicle is to get the hurt runner to help, throw out your alternate, we'll pick up the follow vehicle job. That's what we do for you. So don't be afraid of the patrol folks, they're there to help you. And I'm telling you right now, they're volunteers that they really care. So if you have any questions about that, hit us up. We're not gonna be anywhere on the course until you're on the course. We're not at any place in Vegas, because all my folks are either in Pahrump or on the course. Has anybody interacted with patrol before? Sort of.
We had a runner go down last year.
What stage?
4?
Oh, going up the pass?
4, yep.
Okay.
And
Did
that-
your follow vehicle scoop and go?
Yeah, and alternate went out and
Patrol picked them up?
followed.
Yeah. That's the way it's supposed to happen. Somebody got really, really hurt years ago, and that's why we're around. So we're there to help.
How do we get a hold of you?
FRS 318. All of my folks are on 318. And if you say, hey, team 188, is there a patrol vehicle nearby? Because those radios only go so far, we'll be able to talk to you.
They're spread out.
Yeah, we just started.
We got a bucket.
Buckets. Water. 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 Thank you. All right, questions from Laura? All right, we sprung a leak here. That's all good. Tony, do you want to give a quick break before we go any further?
Yeah, before we're going to take a 10-minute break, but before we do that, 2 important points I want to bring up, just listening to Jeff and Blair talk. If your runner does go down and the safety patrol is not around, you've got to have follow vehicle personnel. You've got to have that ability to pick that runner up, put him in that follow vehicle, and head to the nearest exchange point. Exchange point could be, up the road or back the road. He could have just gone down half a mile into the stage.
Going back to the course is fast.
Every exchange point has certified medical doctors, especially on the California side. So if someone goes down, you've got to get them help as quickly as possible. You cannot just let them sit in that follow vehicle and give them water and help, ice them down. Get them to that exchange point. Okay. Number 2, we spoke about communications. When this meeting is done and my following meeting at noon, probably on Thursday or Friday, I send out minutes to all of the team captains of stuff that we've discussed here. attached to that email will be a flyer for radio communication rental. So you'll have that. I know Jeff didn't say who that company was, but you'll have that information probably by Friday or Monday. Let's take a quick 10-minute break and then we'll carry on. So it goes from here to probably that mountain.
I had it set up to catch both. Barely. What do you want?
It's raining inside.
New agencies, I ran the last few years.
I'm going to try that.
Start a leak, Ruben.
Must have been all that money we spent remodeling the building.
They didn't touch the road.
Yeah.
Valley, Riverside.
Jeff.
We got 25 right now. I mean, we're supposed to.
I can if you want.
Because it's really hard to see. You can have the camera on a lot of slides.
Yeah, I'll PDF it and send it to you.
Like 10 years. We got a lot of stuff here.
Sure.
Jeff, Dave, how you doing?
Lincoln Mix, wherever we.
So on that communications piece, right? If we do rent their radios, the form that you're going to pretty much update on this 2020 version, you'll answer that question. Boom! I'll identify my 2 or 3 people on that form.
I'll say, are you renting radios?
And that'll be done for communications.
Is it MRA? Is it Omni? Or somebody else?
Right.
Well, that's if you're not doing anything else.
Right.
Because you're going to get an FRS channel automatically. You're going to have your 318. If you're doing rental,
Right.
it'll be yes or no, and then actually the next screen will be, are you doing anything else? No. Last screen, comments, boom, you're all done.
I'm just trying to also remember on the FRS, I have these radios I used to use. I don't remember if they're Garmin. And I don't believe they're GMRS.
No, they're probably like the Garmin Rhinos. or something.
Yeah, that's what they are, the Garmin Rhino.
Yeah.
I've had them for a few years.
think you brought
And they got a little bit more of a push out of it than their average
Right.
little
Did you
small
brought
one.
those to a meeting once, didn't you?
No, I
brought-
didn't.
Somebody brought some Garmin Rhinos in a meeting.
No. But, I mean, I've liked them better than the little Motorola's. I think they get a little bit further of a push out of it. Yeah. But
Which are fine as long as they're FRS, but let's make sure they're actually FRS. Because some of that Garmin stuff is not FRS. And we need to make sure that it's true FRS radio. So.
yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You mentioned.
Keep in mind, you're still live. You're still live.
So be careful what you say.
Technically, I can mute the camera, unmute that, but it'll still pick up somewhere.
Radios, does that cover me for my FRS 318? No. Okay, so you
Great
still have to have
question.
the separate FRS 318 at the very minimum, absolutely. You have to have at least one, I recommend two. And your rental radios are not that, that's above and beyond that. Okay?
Okay, last point before we get going, T-shirt pickup. Who's here to pick up a T-shirt today? Any teams? 1, 2, 3. Have you submitted your forms? Yeah. Both of you? How about you guys?
We did it this morning.
This morning? Okay, I'll look it up. We have it here. If not, I have a blank sheet. You can fill it out if you remember the size. We'll fill out the T-shirt orders and we'll get it down to you by the time the meeting ends today. We probably have to be done here by 11:45. I have another team captains meeting I got to do a live stream on at noon, so we should be out of here by 11:45. All right, now the meat and potatoes of what I think you're going to get the most information out of during this team captain seminar. I've got 3 experienced team captains, and they'll come up and introduce themselves, where they're from, what they've done. Get ready for your questions. I've asked Scott to come up, and all 3 of them will come up, give a little presentation if they want, and then bombard them with questions. So let me introduce Scott, Steve, and Johnny Sobro, my classmate. Come on up.
I didn't know anybody was that old.
And 4 Steves up here.
Okay. Well, guys, welcome. My name is Scott.
Scott.
I ran this race my very first time in 1985.
Scott, come over here.
Oh, over here. Got my notes over here. As a new youngster, I got to run up the Halloran Summit. In 1986, we did the lottery because we all wanted to run leg 1 so we could go to town and drink alcohol. And I grabbed out of the lottery. I got leg 14, Halloran Summit again. So I've been running it every year since. And team captain, 30 years, co-captain for the other 5. Sure.
Okay, it's good. Thank you all for being here. My name's Steve Diaz. I got currently working in LAP traffic group in the building downtown. I have 30 years on the job. Back today, December 4th, 1989. I was in that room right over here, getting welcomed to the department by some really nice gentlemen. They gave me all a name. It wasn't my own, but that was 1989. So in 1990, I knew about Baker to Vegas, and I wanted to run it. And they told me, no, you're not really worthy of doing anything. Keeping your mouth closed. 91 was my first one. It's the first time I got to run Baker to Vegas, and I'm hooked ever since. I think I've missed 1 race for training purposes, but I've been here every year. And then you're probably wondering, so if you're running it, you like running it, how do you end up being a team captain? 2008, I'm running leg 7. If you guys have been on the course, you know where leg 7 is? Bottom of the hill in Shoshone, you run up over the hill. The guy drops me off. The guy was our support person, not a runner, but he had a big floppy hat, long 1950s sweatshirt and baggy shorts, and hush puppy shoes with black socks. Not a runner, but he dropped me off. He said, hey, Steve, go out there, go get him. So I did. I went out and ran my best. I come over the hill, and I'm a mile out, and I said, I just can't wait for this to be over. As I pull in the chute, I see my runner ready to take the baton, and my runner's wearing a big floppy hat, long gray sweatshirt, baggy shorts, hush puppies with black socks. Our support guy he was recruited. The runner didn't show up. Okay, our runner didn't show up, and that was because the person who was the team captain that year wasn't really into it, didn't have time to do it, and it was really, really bad planning. So after he finished his run, 2 hours later, the runner that was late, because he had bad directions, he said, I'm never doing this again. I'll never, ever do this again, and he was a good runner. That's the point. He said, no, let me do it next year, and I guarantee this will never happen again. So that's the last time my hair was black. So you're going to find out how many are brand new. This is your first year as a team captain. Wow. Okay. Wow.
We just kill ourselves now?
No, it's a lot of work. The first year you're going to learn. First year you make mistakes, and as you get along, and now it's, if you get some really good support people, which is the key to help you out, you have it made. The first year, my biggest mistake was I tried to do everything. You try to handle every aspect of the race. from support all the way up, and it doesn't work. It will not work. In fact, this shouldn't be called a new team captain. These should be new team captains support. Everybody should be here. It should be for everybody, because that's the key to making this thing work. Your support people are the absolute best. They will make your race well worth it. But it is a lot of work. Like Chuck was saying earlier, it's a long day. And the way we do it for Wilshire is I'll get up early in the morning, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, go out with a follow vehicle, get them checked in, and then somewhere in there I got to run. And then you're there all the way to the end of the race, till about noon on Sunday. You try to sleep, but your phone keeps going off because people want to know how you did. All the people who got sleep all night, they want to know, hey, how do we do? How do we do? How do we do? But if everything works out, the key is to get everybody out there safely. No penalties. And later on, what we want to do is just, if you have any question about penalties, believe it or not, the race has gotten a lot better. My first year in '91, we had a really good foothill running team, but back then there was no rules or anything in place regarding down runners. I don't know if you remember that, Chuck. If you had a down runner, you were done. Your team finished unofficial. And I was on a foothill team that's really good. Finished unofficial. We'd have probably finished second or third. And then for a while there, we were hot and heavy on penalties, but that's all for safety. And I think now it's gotten to the point now where nobody wants to penalize you. And once you get out there, you see that's the last thing they want to do. And if you do come across where you have been given a penalty, the rules committees out there, they're very, very forgiving. Okay, so that's something you should really not worry about. And again, get good support people out there, and you'll have a good time. And
how you guys doing? My name's John Soberall. The way I got sucked up into this, I was actually helping Steve. I actually saw how much work Steve was taking upon his own, and it's way too much for one person. So you gotta, at the very least, have a co-captain, which that's what kind of the rules state, or it's set up that way. So you can bounce things off of each other and just tackle things. But right, the entry fee is $2,200, so you're not even in the race if you don't have any money, right? So money's going to be an issue for you guys. Raising money, sponsors. I mean, you can maybe hit me up afterwards, get together. You can, I can give you guys some ideas like that. But support is just as important as runners, because those are the cats that are going to be driving your vans, right? And if they're speeding or they got an issue because they got pulled, it happened to us. Thank God Steve was there. We had a driver, he was speeding, he parked where he shouldn't have parked. They came over and told him to move it, and he starts giving her lip.
Oh.
You're going to think, oh, that can't happen to your team, right? But, right, cops shouldn't be drinking on that course, and there's going to be some idiot, might be on your team, that should not be drinking, and he's the one that's going to pop off, and that's going to, if you're competitive, and we're competitive. We went from team 64 to 70 last year. Since we took the race over, that was the first year where we took a step backwards. So we take it super serious. Your lodging, right? People are going to be all over you. Hey, I didn't get a room. How much are the rooms? Or where can I get a room? You got to tackle that early. We passed out. I got even copies of the rules. That's obviously on the website. The follow vehicle. We also passed out the follow vehicle checkoff list and the rules that govern that. The way we run it, we have a follow vehicle we obviously rent. Then we rent 3 Suburbans or 3 vans. 3 minivans will work perfect. So we break it down to 4 shuttles. On that assignment sheet that I Toontown, because we changed it from Wilshire, and we changed the names, obviously. You'll see that those are the people that are being shuttled out, and they're being shuttled out at certain times. They're being told where to be at our command post and what time that shuttle's leaving. And if you're not there, okay, that alternate's going to go. We're not going to mess around. Shuttle 1 turns into shuttle 4, right? By the time shuttle 1 comes all the way back, it's only down for a couple hours, and then it takes the last runners out. I think it's to Lake 16. So you're going to need, if you run it like we do, it's 3 minivans, 1 follow vehicle. You saw the radios. If you didn't get the number for mobile relay, I gotta hear that's what we use. They're unbelievable. When we started using that, it is just, so I'm gonna bark that out right now. Again, this is Raycom mobile relay, and it's 323-774-3500. The gentleman that will meet you, he's the guy that will meet you at the hotel. His name is Mark Abrams. And for what you're getting, you know, you're going to have a list, but you got to think about what you want. Do you want a little handheld as you get out of the car? Do you want one in the vehicle? To us, communications can't be enough. We had a down runner late 2 last year. And then who's going to respond to that hospital? You got any supervision? You're going to leave your runner just, oh, okay, the ambulance took him off, he's on his own? Something to think about. Do you have extra personnel that can, hey, follow this guy, make calls for his family until he comes to, or whatever the case is? It happened to us. So again, back to those assignments, that just turned the light on for me to actually see how the race is gonna develop for me. That helped me so much. So if you didn't get one, I got extras, or I can email you the template on it. As far as money and sponsors, at Wilshire, Helbo Rodriguez right here, he's wearing one of our jackets. Beverly Hills BMW sponsors us, or sponsors out there. There's people out there that actually want to get involved in the race. If you can communicate to them what this race is all about, what you're all about, and it's advertising for them, the way they look at it. And so they're going to write that off. Believe it or not, they will write that off. So we've been very fortunate. They've been with us for over a decade. And, the jackets aren't cheap. We get a good deal on them. But it's something, it's real prideful. You stand out. At least for our team, we really pride ourselves on how we carry ourselves. The partying's after. That's the main thing you really got to tell. So, and when you plan to get up there, if you're planning to get up there Friday afternoon, you're behind the curb. Like, you're basically just got lapped. Think about it that way. We get up there Thursday afternoon, right? We set up, we park our vehicles, because when those meetings hit and you go get your run plan at the window and you get your bibs, you got to start putting all that stuff together. That's going to take time. You have to have people that get the right bibs, you put the bobby pins on them, time. And then you better go to those meetings, because you don't know if there's going to be, hey, is there a detour? Did something just happen out there? Is there any other issues on the race course? You're going to find that out that evening. So it's really important that your drivers go to those to those meetings, and the team captains go to those meetings, because information is key. So, right, you don't want to be late. If you start off late on the race, start off late to get organized, it's really going to cost you. So I don't want to go on too much, because we want it to be a question and answer session, unless you got something, partner? Or,
I got a bunch.
Go ahead. Another team captain with an awesome first name.
My name's Steve Nunez. I'm the team captain for Foothill Division for LAPD. I ran my first 2 years, which was 20 years ago, and then I didn't run anymore. And the way I got suckered into it was, there was a promotion spot that came up 7 years ago. I said, hey, my sergeant at the time was the team captain for the support team, so I took over. And once I stepped in, I basically changed the regime. I said, hey, it's no longer just because you're my friend, you get to be on the Baker to Vegas team. It was, we're here to win. So a lot of the old regime left. The runners left, and they came in, and we went from team 162 all the way to team 60. And just for all the new team captains and for you guys that have been doing it, let me tell you something. Dealing with a bunch of coppers, you're dealing with 50 babies, crybabies. Everybody's a crybaby. Everyone has excuses. Everybody's toe hurts. They're injured. It's too cold. It's too hot. Whatever the deal is. But I think if you really want to be competitive, you got to lay the law down from day one. Say, if you guys aren't here to take it serious, don't run. The big thing, like someone mentioned, partying. Like I tell these guys, and I use the same jokes I use to my team. If you can't meet somebody in Vegas, a girl or a guy, on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday night, you got issues. I'm sorry. So I say, when you guys are out there, Your job is to either do the support team or to run, whether you're running 4 miles or 10 miles. Run after you're done running. Then I don't care what you guys do. Just don't get arrested. You can pass out in the middle of the casino floor for all I care, but just do your job, run, and you know what, and then after that, hopefully we win, like, first place, second, or third. But that's the hardest thing is to get these guys all on the same page, especially if you want to win. If you guys, most teams just want to go out there and have a good time, and we get that, but like I say, from day one, I install it on our team and say, hey, we're not here to win a mug. I'll buy you guys a 10.90 because the mugs are 10.95. I'll buy each one of you guys a mug. You can put whatever place on you want. We're there for pride, to win first place, second or third, whatever we can get in the category we run in. But that's the biggest thing, that I tell you, especially for you guys that want to win and be competitive, is to make sure you get everybody on the same page from day one. And you're gonna have good runners, and like I say, if you're a good runner, unfortunately, you're gonna have to run a harder leg, because there are guys and there's teams that I've seen over the last 7 years as team captains, that I have buddies that run on other teams, and they're phenomenal runners, but they tell their team captain, if I don't run leg 1, I'm not running for you guys. That's where you got to tell them, hey man, if you want to be on this team, you're gonna have to run whatever leg I tell you to run, and that's just the way it is. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. So. But I think you got to install that right from the beginning, And again, at Foothill, just like the Wilshire, they were saying, we're fortunate. Our boosters, we don't have to. All I have to do is say, here, I need a $2,200 check for entry fee. They cut it out. Hey, I need $1,500 for gas money. For that, they cut it. We're lucky. That's one thing I can say. Our command, our captains, it's tradition. A lot of guys come just to Foothill Division just for Baker to Vegas. They'll be like, oh, I hear you guys have a good Baker to Vegas team. We just had our time trial last week in the rain. Pouring rain, we had 35 people trying out. We have to cut people. We're lucky, where we actually cut people from the team. And I feel bad, but like I said, and the big thing too is the runners. I'll say, hey, if you guys tried out, you get to be support. Support's a big thing. Treat your support team as valuable as you treat your runner that runs a 10-miler, because without a support team, I don't care how fast you guys are, you're not gonna have a team. You won't have a team out there. So make sure you treat your support team right. Because I know there are a lot of people that they'll leave them out there. I hear from other divisions, they're out there for 12, 14, 15 hours on the race course. That ain't cool. That's why some of these guys I'll never do Baker to Vegas ever again, because I was out on that course for 15 hours. Unless they want to do it, that's cool. But like I say, I give them a very minimal job, so at least they're willing to come back year after year after year to help you guys out. So I guess we'll open up for questions.
Yeah, let's open it up, and I'll have Scott do a moderator on it. Ask the questions that you think is going to be beneficial for your team, how-tos, or why do we do it this way, and each one can answer the way they do it, I guess. So let's open it up, and go ahead. Sir.
Gentleman in the black shirt, you mentioned that you had 3 minivans shuttle people back and forth, correct?
Yes.
And then on top of that, you still have all your support that are catchers and beating the runners.
Right.
The shuttle vans throughout the entire race is 3, or you have more than that?
It's 3. So when you send basically runners 1 through 5, and you're going to probably send your runner number 1 with the follow vehicle, right? So you drop him off. He's got to get to the starting line.
Right.
Because you got to start hopping over, right? You got to figure out how you're going to do that. But you need 3 vans, right? So that first van that takes, let's say, runners 1 through 5, he's going to head back, right? And he's going to end up taking at least 16, 17, 18, right? 19 and 20. So it ends up being 4 shuttles, so that's why it's broken down. I passed that out.
One shuttle ends up being
So 1, yeah, you got shuttle 1 ends up being shuttle 4, and then you got 2 and 3.
So you have 3 shuttles.
Because you will have 3 shuttles out there
throughout
on the
the
race
entire
course,
race.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
4. You can do 4 follow vehicles and the 3 shuttles.
Okay. That's what I wanted to confirm. Yeah,
Black
with the mindset of not burning out the support staff, like you were saying, that's kind of the reason.
Absolutely. We even give them gifts.
So in the past, we've had problems like with catchers. Like, what do you guys do? Do you guys usually have your own people find their own catchers, or?
All runners will bring a human to catch them if there's not a catcher there, because a catcher has to have reflectorized vest, number,
No, I understand that,
bottle
but
of water.
what are you guys doing? Are you guys having like?
I'm sure like they do, like Wilshire does, we'll do 3, I do 4 teams. So team 1, team 2, 3, and 4. And they go in the follow vehicle with the runners. They leapfrog, like I said, there's one specific catcher for those 5 runners. Now, if somebody wants to bring their wife or husband to be the catcher, that's fine. We have the vest in there for them to be the catcher. But that's how we do it. So we do every 5, we do a catcher, and then they just go to just leapfrog. Once those 5 runners are done, they hop in the van and they're done. They take back off to Vegas, and the other van should already be there, leapfrogging them to meet. So.
Don't get confused. Shuttle van and follow vehicle are 2 different things.
Right.
If you do the shuttle, and using the shuttle, you send a driver, and the front passenger is a catcher.
So your catcher is a job. That's their job. They have to be there. So after they catch, they pass the runner off to the ride. That catcher is going to go up because sometimes you park a half a mile away and you got to get ready to catch again. So that's their job.
Who's ever been a catcher before? Somebody caught? What you're supposed to do, because it's crowded out there, your job is when that runner gets out, the catcher, you stick to him. You hold and don't let him go anywhere, because there's 2 places he's going to want to go. Bathroom, and then to see, remember, these change my app and say, hey, we haven't seen each other in 10, 20 years, and we can start yucking it up.
Especially in the heat, it's important to make sure that runner is good. And it takes a few minutes to make sure.
And one thing to add is make sure, like, whoever's going with their runner, a lot of times the mile out ham people that are warning, they're not even paying attention. Because I ran in the middle of the night where they're passed out sleeping, and I'm actually texting the guy I'm coming in. You know, make sure you guys figure out when you're saying, hey, dude, I'm coming, you know what? Because I'm telling you guys, you won't hear them saying your runner's a mile out. Next thing you know, you have somebody sitting in the chute just chilling, and your runner's like by the car, you know, stretching, and they're sitting in there for like an hour or like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever the case, and that's time, that's valuable times, you know, that's you're
First
losing.
thing these runners go, when they get out of that van, with the catcher, hold on, if you have to hold hands or whatever, first place they go is to check in. Then you walk with them to the bathroom, because what happens is if the team captain gets there, hey, is John checked in? Yeah, where is he? Oh, I don't know. Ain't gonna work. So your job of your catcher is to stick with those guys.
Get them out of there. If the paramedics want to talk to them, the paramedics get to talk to them. The paramedics are the commanders of this race. If they say, I'm going to talk to this guy for a minute, you can't be a butthead and say, no, he's fine. Let them talk for 1 minute. They'll say, what day is it? Where do you work? It only takes 10 seconds. And then keep your runner walking. Sir, with a hand up.
Yes.
Bottle of water.
As far as coordinating, estimating how much time it gets, let's say you're doing in teams, first 5 runners come from the hotel, the shuttle brings them out to the course, and you start doing the leapfrogging or whatever. Right. How challenging is it to basically estimate the time from the hotel to the course?
Easy. That's easy. Your first shuttle van is the only van that will go southbound I-15 back to Baker. Which, by the way, I don't know if you know this, it's home of the world's tallest thermometer.
Towards the beginning, right? Back to the beginning.
Home of the world's tallest thermometer. That's the only shuttle van that goes back that way. It's 95 miles. We usually give our guys, it takes an hour and a half, but all it takes is one accident to goof that all up. Give them 2 hours.
But they come down the course?
No, they go down 15, like they're heading back towards LA.
Okay.
But they get to Baker, home of the world's tallest thermometer. That's where they get in, and then they got to refuel, get their last bit of supplies, because from Baker, it's still 22 miles to the start line. That takes a little bit too, and the traffic's backing up. You got to remember the race, they're stopping traffic every hour.
So what my concern was is just once you get to World Runs, or how long, because I know it's slow.
Give them 2 hours.
Minimum.
2 hours from the hotel.
From shuttle 1. And
To
then
the start line.
Shuttles 2, 3, and 4 take the back way through Pahrump. They reverse the course. So your second shuttle van, that's going to be 2 hours as well. 90 minutes for shuttle 3, and an hour for shuttle 4.
Right. And same thing, I've got on my notes here for folks that like to depend on Siri, MapQuest, Twitter, Shitter, whatever you're using. Turn that off. It is going to ruin your race. And I'm not going to mention any agency like the California Highway Patrol, Don Smolsky, Brett Bergstrom, or Fernando Barrientos. 10-year runners on my team driving out to run legs 5, 6, and 7. One of the wives says, wow, there's snow on Mount Whitney. And these guys are driving. These are highway patrolmen with loaded guns. And the driver, Mount Whitney, wait a second. Because Siri said take 395. They were 150 miles out of their way, the wrong way, almost to Bishop, California. Scott, I got a problem. Yeah, you got a problem. BFL, you're banned for life. So, MapQuest and phones, disaster. At your team captain meeting, tell your folks, go to the big thermometer. There's one stop sign at Baker, the Mad Greek. The high school's right there. The start line is right down the road. You cannot get lost, but the phone will cause heartache. Hand up. Before I forget, I just want to get this in. You're going to need vests, right? If you're running from 7 at night to 7 in the morning, that runner's going to have a vest on, right? And it's going to be flashing. You're going to check it as a team captain. So make sure, right? It's a little more cost, right? If you're going to be swapping vests, now you got to worry about getting the vests up ahead. You know, we try to have enough vests for each runner. Hey, you know, and then we have backup to the backup.
Back up to the backup, but a runner handing a vest to a runner in the chute, disaster. It doesn't work. Sometimes the folks won't even let you in the chute to run without your vest already on, and they're very militant. They have a job to do. Make your nighttime runners spend the $20, have your own vest, because when you try to make 14, give your vest to 17, you get up to 17 and there's construction, and you can't find this human. They're 1.5 miles, cars are parked, disaster.
Start.
Nighttime runner has the vest works, spare batteries.
Is there a certain time they want the lighter vest by?
Yeah, 7 p.m.
7 p.m.
7
To
to
7
7,
a.m.
daylight savings business. They won't let you in the chute without it. So you got to make, and if you're close to that 6:30, make the guy get the little crisscross applesauce vest and just have him have it on. Because somebody, I'm telling you, someone is going to say, nope, he's got to have it on. It's not 7 yet. Well, just click it on, make the volunteer happy, and off you go.
Well, the volunteers too, I forgot to tell you, you guys have sworn team volunteers, correct? You have to, every team has a volunteer, one person to work the race. When they get out to the course, they become race officials. So some of them are out there, they're just doing their time to get their team through the race, because that's what they have to do. But some of them will say, if they say, sir, I need you to move your car, you move your car. Some of them take it, are real cool about it, and others are very, very serious about it, which I'm sure you guys have already seen. Some guys out there says, move your damn car. Don't get into it with them, because those are team volunteers, even though they're race officials. Just do it. Just remember, treat the race officials as how you want your team volunteer to be treated. And they're most of them kind of, you're gonna run into those guys that are real, a little aggressive. They just cooperate. It's easy.
Going back to the catcher, my experience with the catcher's been, the runner comes in, they catch the runner, right? And that same catcher helps the other person an hour ahead of time get ready. That was my experience with the catcher, but they've been there at the
That'll
actual
work.
leg. You guys mentioned earlier that the catcher comes in the van?
Shuttle van. Okay, so each
Oh,
shuttle
in the
van.
shuttle van,
Shuttle van, not the follow van.
Okay.
Shuttle van. So you have a driver and a catcher. Catcher's not the same.
Right.
They have the vest with a number on it, and what they do is they make sure the guy gets signed in.
Right.
Get in the back, walk into the bathroom, and you just want, he's got to be at the chute. You'll be standing back, and they'll say, okay, team 42, you're a mile out. Then they'll let you into the chute. You got to have your vest on, and you got to have a bottle of water with a cap unscrewed for the incoming runner. And there's a reason for that. Runner comes in, he's not feeling good, and they give him water, and the cap's still on. It's just a mess. But you send the runner off, and then your job is to stay with the runner who's finished all the way through until he's released by the paramedics. Dust him off, get back in the van, you do it again.
So you brief the wife or husband that's going to catch. Where's your bottle of water? Oh, it's in the cart. Get it right now. Get the cap off. You gotta be serious with these people, because if that catcher doesn't have a bottle of water, that is a penalty. There's no verbal warning on that. They are very, very serious about this. And I won't mention any agencies or catchers, because it was me with the highway patrol at Lake 20 one year. Did not have a bottle of water. I was tired. I was trying to argue with Chuck over a penalty. I grabbed a bottle of water out of the trash can. I walked up, it was half full, handed it to an officer, I won't say his name, but it's Tom Kuhn. Turned around, yay, high five, and then Tom drank that water. So nothing had happened, but I had my bottle of water. It just came out of a trash can. So make sure you have, like he says, the cap has got to be off. The medical staff, they are the commissioners of this race, and they are in charge. And if you have that cap on, you're in trouble.
What year was that?
I've been here every year.
You're going to be DQ'd for that.
I remember that. Guys, Uber and Siri, those of you who are going to have, and this happens every year, they're going to fly to Vegas, get the rental car, go out to Leg 8 or etc. Takes 3 hours to get a rental car in Vegas. Takes 3 hours to get an Uber. Takes 3 hours to get a Lyft ride. Get your plans now when you do your team captain's meeting. People, hey, no, I have to work overtime Saturday. I'm going to fly out. it's not going to happen. Those folks are not going to be able to get out there if they're flying into McCarran. Like they said, get them to town early. If your guys, some people have new officers like we do, 4 or 5 guys have to work Friday. Do not send them late Friday all the way to Vegas and then 100 miles back. Insane. It's crazy. What we started a lot of years ago, Barstow Holiday Inn is 50 miles from Baker. There are now about 25 teams that do this. The Saturday, if you're slower than shit like we are, your guys have got to be there Saturday morning at Baker High School, 9 a.m. My first 3 runners, they're staying in Barstow. They are not going to town, because if you're 21 years old and you go to a club called Little Darlings, you are not going to make the start line. You're going to see things they don't have in the state of Minnesota. And where's so-and-so? Industrial Paradise, Little Darlings. But anyway, on your nose. They put it on your nose. But anyway, it brings me to another point. The phrase that we came up with in the 80s called cowboy. You guys have the cowboy on your team that wants to come out there, the cowboy that wants to put the P back and party. He's got the big old monster truck, 4-wheel drive, 18 passenger, but he drives alone. One of those guys, leave him in Burbank. Don't bring him out, because he's going to cause you nothing but heartache. Get your good people now, and start lining them up. Because you guys as team captains, it's so easy and so smooth. 90% of you will be captains again next year. But one butthead can ruin it for you if you depend on someone that's not dependable. So leave the cowboys at home. Leave the bang sticks at home. 10,000 cops. You do not need a gun. I can't tell you how many times guys standing there by the fire pit, leg 14, dude, what do I do with my Glock? Well, you should have left it in Santa Clarita. There's 18,000 cops out there. Where do I put my car keys? Your car keys go on the seat of your car. Car thieves aren't stupid enough to be out there. Only us. Windows down, key is on the front seat of the car, and away you run. And somebody, one of your humans, will move that car forward. Do not go back to pick up a car. Hey, I need to ride back to 12 to pick up my car. No. Have somebody's wife drive the car up to 16 and park it, keys on the seat. It's easy. Everybody goes forward, because if you start driving backwards, you choke the course up. I had a question over here. Who had a hand up? In the back, sir.
Yes, sir. 29 years of running, first year team captain. I just want to thank you guys for doing a phenomenal job, making this tradition alive each and every year. I do have one question though. The follow vans. We have a large, 12-person cargo van. Versus
Disaster. You need a minivan. 12-passenger van is good if you guys like these guys are doing your shuttle business. You got the wives, you got 4 runners, 4 catchers. That's what that van is good for. They are a pain in the ass to park. They take up space. If Larry Moore was here to tell you, one year we had a guy bring a Humvee, one of those big Hummer things out, diesel fuel, horrible disaster. Get a minivan. Get your local car dealership to donate a minivan. If it's a Chrysler, the seats fold down, and now you got all this floor space. If it's a Honda, like we use, Diamond Bar Honda gives us vans every year, I take those seats out, I leave them right at the dealership because they're a pain in the butt to store, they're heavy, they're bulky. I stack them in the back of the car dealership, I leave a note, do not touch these seats per Matt the owner. Scott will put them back in the van Tuesday afternoon. Boom, now I have an empty minivan, dual sliding doors. And you got all the space in the world. You got seat belts in the back so you comply with the law, but you have room. You have ice chest, your food, your water squirter bottles, ice bucket for sponge. You know, it's gonna get hot out there. You have all the room in the world in that minivan. Do not depend on Shoshone. Somebody goes back to Vegas and that shuttle van's gonna come back, top it off at Arco, Highway 160. I always bring all of my vehicles. I have a cash budget, I have $200 cash. Stop at Arco, put 20 bucks in. It takes a minute. Highway 160, boom. They get back out on the course. Their tank is full of fuel. We had to carry 5 gallons of gas, was part of our equipment in 1985, believe it or not. You don't have to do that anymore. So,
Any ideas, Mark?
yeah, questions? Who had a question? Sir.
Follow vehicles to use. How many follow vehicles?
Following the runner is going to be one vehicle. So on your one vehicle, again, minivan. So I always call Diamond Bar Honda. I need one has to have a luggage rack. I put my light bar, same hunk of junk light bar, looks like crap, still works. I use the same light bar. Strap it on down. You hardwire it 10 millimeter to the battery is all you need to do. And when you start that race, you hook that up, your lights start going, you're powered. The cigarette lighter can melt in some of these newer vehicles, so you just hardwire it to the battery. And if you're like me, you have to drill a couple holes. You put plugs in them before you turn the van back so they don't know you drilled holes in your van. But anyway, different story. Yeah, backup rotator. So I got a big old light, and I carry 5 backup lights because every year Chuck Foot will call me or Joy will call, hey, team so-and-so, is it check? They need, oh, got it, I got a spare light. Starsky and Hutch lights, $9 at Harbor Freight Tools. Pick one up. You plug it in, it's got a magnet, boom, it goes on the top. I would not use that as a primary light. I use that as a backup. Have one in your captain's van also. So your follow van, you need to use a bathroom. A little harder for girls to do bathroom business out there against a cactus. So they're going to want to stop at the restrooms. No problem. Your runner can run 4 minutes by himself. Your runner's fine. He takes a stick, he takes off going, stop and use the bathroom. But as a team captain, you put your Starsky and Hutch light up, you pull in behind, set your flashers. They know you're a temporary captain or temporary follow vehicle. And then 5 minutes later, hey, here I am. And then you pull away, and then they pull back. Don't panic about bathrooms. You can always stop and use the bathroom.
So you use one van for multiple drivers, or?
I use 4 crews of 3. One of those 3 has running shoes. One of those 3s might need to run. I've never had to put some, because we're slower than shit anyway. But the fast teams might have somebody get hurt. So out of the 3 humans, we got driver, timer, spare runner, and water boy. Water boy sprays him down in hot. That guy might have to run, so he's got to have running shoes. So at their designated, I think it's 1 through 5. So at leg 6, the next driving crew comes on duty. They're 500 yards past the bathroom, so no traffic issues. They got their war bag. They got their food, their bananas, their apples. They're standing there. The van stops. The 3 jump out. The 3 jump in. And then those 3 go get in that van, and away they go for all time. That van.
Same van.
Yeah, they're in the same van. You don't switch vehicles. You just switch humans. So the 3 get out, the 3 get in Inky Binky's car, and off they go. So there's no parking issues. They're out of there. And the crews change. Another good cruise spot is Shoshone at the gas station, Shell station. Big old parking lot there, plenty of room. You switch, do your switch right there.
So the follow van, if that's the same van, for 20 plus hours, or
21 if you're with me, but yeah. 19 actually, go.
And you gas up, at the beginning.
At Baker, you'll finish with 3/4 of a tank. You're
You
idling.
go with 1 tank?
Absolutely, you are idling
All right.
for 18 to 20 hours. You start with a full tank, it'll be above half when you're done with the heater or with the air conditioner going. It wasn't so in the 80s, and which is why we had to carry, Chevy's got 10 miles to the gallon. There was no Shoshone. There was no gas after dark in Pahrump, Nevada. The only thing open in Pahrump, Nevada was Madame Butterfly's Exotic Massage. There was no gas at Chuck's car. Was literally
Was there cross streets on that?
Yeah, that's Blag and Highway 160. But we had to carry fuel. But you don't have to carry fuel. Remember, Phil and Baker, Phil at Highway 160 when you're heading the other way. Blue Diamond Highway, Bass Pro Shops. You guys are all going to sneak in there. The Arco station is right there. Fill it up and then blast out on Highway 160. Don't panic because in a couple miles you'll see leg 18, leg 17, leg 16. Every 5 or 6 miles you'll see the motorhomes and the lights. It's really simple. Do not worry about being able to find it.
If you don't want to switch follow vehicle crews that often, we only do it once.
All right.
First crew goes 10 legs.
Yeah.
And Saddle West Casino on the main drag.
Saddle West.
Pull off there and just do it once. And that's all you have to do.
They have free coffee and donuts at Saddle West.
They do.
And you got plenty of time because your runner will bang a right turn. He's running down the highway. You can see him. You can take 5 minutes. You'll be able to see your runner while you swap the vans, get all your stuff. Man, get your trash out because you'll have a whole bag full of trash.
Steve, how many do you use for your team?
We use 4, just like you guys do. We use 4 as well.
4 humans, 2 shifts.
Yeah, 4 humans. And one thing too is you'll see it starts to get congested when other runners and other teams, just because they're not your team, you're not your runner. If they need water, give it to them. There is, once you start getting into the late start times, when the teams start getting competitive, let me tell you something. It becomes where people are cutting each other off out on the race course, where certain, because they're trying to slow your runners down. It happens for us. We started last year at 4 o'clock, and we're running and people were trying to cut each other off, and it just. But try to at least try to help the other runners out when they're running. If they look like they're struggling, give them water. Even if they're not your team, even if you're hoping, hey, they slow down. But the thing is, you don't want any. The key is that we all make it back safe and to the finish line and have a good time.
So
Yeah.
you mentioned the 4. You say you use 4 bodies in the vans. It's a driver, timer, spare runner, and who's the 4th?
So no,
Another
we
human,
have 4. We
a
have
wife
4.
can jump in the van, watch husband run.
Yeah, so we do. I mean, we do 4 different teams. So
4
like, yeah, so we rotate like this gentleman was saying. So at leg 6, 500 yards past it, they switch out, and then at leg 11, same thing. Leg 16, same thing, and then they take it all the way to the end. So
What we do to get our second crew out there, right? And I'm gonna throw a little wrench in there. We have a courier. He's gonna take runner 11, if I'm not mistaken, Steve, correct?
No, just the crew.
Just, okay, the follow crew?
The second one.
Sometimes we send them out. It happened a couple years where, hey, we're panicking a little bit. We want to just make sure we got our runner out there, right? If we're waiting, so the follow vehicle is going to switch out because you got to get those people back into town. Are they going to get in the shuttles? No, there's no room for them in the shuttles. So you got to think about that. If you're going to swap like we do, who's going to take those cats back into town?
Yeah.
and here's another thing, and I know like Chuck used to say this last couple of years. You know, depending what you guys want to do. If you guys are up there trying to mug, you want to win first place. Another thing, I know our team, we'll put like a scout. We get another car, and we're scouting the teams that are ahead of us. You know, the divisions that are really running, trying to run. They'll see, okay, this runner's a mile. Their runner's only like whatever, 100 yards out or a mile out. So we kind of go back and forth, and we shuttle it back. And they call. And if you're the team captain, let me tell you, like he was saying, you're not going to sleep. Do not plan on sleeping because your phone's going to be blowing up the whole night. I mean, you're not even toward the finish line. Everybody's already. I mean, people back at home, your command officer, your sergeants are like, what place are we in? What place are we in? What place are we in? So it's like we just started, and they're asking what place we're in. You know, so if you're the team, just keep in mind that your phone's going to be going off all night long. But that is one good thing to have as a scout. Like you just have an extra body out there as a sport team member. They're going and they're seeing where your competition is. And that's, like I said, if you guys are really competitive, you guys want to win, that's just another thing to do. You have that, especially if you have extra bodies to be out there, kind of watch. Because, I mean, like I said, most people want to win a mug. I don't know who wants to go in the middle of the desert, just run for fun, because I know I don't. So
That scout can help you. That scout can get put to work giving somebody a ride.
Yeah.
Doing something. Okay, Best Western Pahrump. For you guys that have, you're bringing folks that, hey, I don't have the money, I can't go, and you're a good runner, bullshit, you're going. And you're going to stay at the Best Western Pahrump, bring your sleeping bag. Get a host room. Pahrump is awesome. It's right in the middle of the race. Their phone number 775-727-5100. 775-727-5100. After January's meeting, that place is going to be booked solid. Downstairs, every single room. Norwalk Sheriff has a big old barbecue, feast, whatever. It's nice to have a command center there. Then you can get your runners 9, 10, 11, 12. They can go to that hotel hours early, relax, and then have your team send the message to you, hey, runners 9, 10, 11 are here. We're all checked in. Woo! You got 3 or 4 hours you can actually relax because you don't have to dash up and try to find your runner. Communication is very, very important. You got to pass information on. Tell your folks before they leave for all time. You got a husband and wife there. Well, wait, don't leave. Talk to me first. Hey, we're leaving. Great. You need to drive this car to Lake 14, park it on the right, leave the key on the seat. Don't let humans leave. They might be able to help you or give a ride to town. And again, it's old school, but if somebody is stuck somewhere, remember, 18,000 people are going this way. It is never a problem getting a ride towards Vegas. Because at every leg, car after car after car is leaving. You see LAPD Rampart pull up, hey brother, can I get a ride? Hop in. And you got a friend for life and off you go. It's never a problem to hitchhike. I hate to say I pick up people all the time, hey, where's so-and-so? They're in front of us like 2 hours. Hop in, I'll take you up there. Offer rides to people.
Are those people still missing?
People are still
Right.
gone.
So that's why those radios, right? It'd be good to know, oh, he did get picked up.
He did get picked
So
up.
we can talk from our command post, which, you know, we get one of the top floors. it doesn't seem to be a problem to be able to contact him or one of the shuttles, or in between.
And we started the catchers in '85 because there were about a dozen people left out there. So '86, Chuck came up with this new rule: catcher. Who the hell needs a catcher? Well, the 6 people that almost froze to death. So that's why we do that. Same thing at the Rio host room. Book your room now. Use the Baker to Vegas group code. That helps us keep the price down. That helps Tony. We got to book those rooms now. Tell all your people, book your rooms now at the Rio. And you're going to have new kids like, oh, we're staying at the Excalibur. No, that place is going. We're going to stay here, there, whatever. No, tell them we're all staying at the Rio. But have your host room at the Rio so you can make that offer. Folks can stay for free in the host room. Bring a sleeping bag. Questions?
Hey, can you talk about check-in for your runners, their IDs, and how you do that?
Checking in for your runners. They have a new system now where you can do it online and print the little sticky thing. You show it to your motorhome volunteer and you stick it on. You got to pin it on in front of them and you're ready to rock. When you pull up there, have a copy. Have all your members have a copy of their police ID. That copy is paper. You show it to the Good Sam volunteer, the motorhome volunteer. She looks at it. You crumble it up, you throw it in the fire, you're done. Do not bring a big old George Costanza wallet out there or you're going to be holding it in your hand when you run. Copy of your ID. As a team captain, every single human on your team, you need all 45 copies, all 20 runners, your ID, your follow van, because you may have one of those people that you put into the race. Some guy that's never ran before, I can't tell you how many times that's happened. Maybe about 80 times on my team. Guess what? You're running, bro. You're an alternate. No, dude, I haven't ran. Got Vans tennis shoes. Well, he learns to run. And I have in my handy dandy book, I just opened it up. I don't have my ID, bro. Guess what? I got a copy of it. Here it is. So I got a big book of police IDs. Every human that's out there with you have that ID. So what I do, police ID, California driver's license, Blue Cross medical card. Those 3, make 1 copy of it. That's in the event, and the contact name.
Can you put it on your cell phone like we did last year?
Cell phone, absolutely. But do you want to have cell phone in your hand? If you turn around and, oh shit, where'd they go? You're running with your phone. This guy's a jackrabbit. He can run with a phone. I can't. It slows me down too much. I'm too fat. But I see people running with their war bags, with their phones. Disaster. Bad planning. Your catcher that's coming in, hand your war bag off. Your war bag. All humans at night, gotta have war bag. It is absolutely, positively freezing at night. In 1986, Chuck was there. Lake 14 was like 95 degrees. In 1987, we had 3 feet of snow in the exact same location. 1992, Chuck and I, sledgehammers, breaking the ice over Mountain Pass. Had clear ice, was an inch thick. And he's standing there confused. I got a sledgehammer out. And we started busting sheets of ice and kicking them off the road. The road was backed up because of ice. So everybody plans on cold. Your team captain van that you guys are going to be driving, how about a couple pairs of sweats, couple hoodies, throwaway hoodies you can pass off. Hey, I'm freezing. Somebody's going to bring their little wifey out there with her spiked heels because she's in Vegas. I'm freezing. I'm sorry, but that happens every year. Yeah, whatever. So what do? You hand off some warm clothes, put on the hoodie, sweater. Let me tell you, that's better than sex, having warm clothes out there, because it gets cold. Toilet paper, they run out. The sun sets, when the sun goes down, there's no more toilet paper in the outhouses.
Yeah, on the IDs, the way we do it, every vehicle is going to have the run plan, okay? So our follow vehicle is also going to have the IDs, right? The copies of the IDs from runners 1 through 20, all the alternates. The shuttles are going to have copies of the runners for the runners they have. That's why it's broken up like that. So we put them in books. We make books, right? So we make follow vehicle 1, right? 1 through 10. When the other guys come back, we have a book for them. Follow vehicle 2 has their own book. Each shuttle has their own book. So there would be 4 books, right? Because there's 4 shuttles. So back up to the backup. You can never have enough of that stuff out there. Extra vests. How do you do it?
Same thing, you know. We have the books just like this gentleman, and just as being a runner and already been training for the last 2 months, I don't care how much you train, you're still going to be nervous out there. So that's why it's so important to have that catcher, have that book, you know, and walk you up to the check-in. Because I mean, I'm telling you, even myself, I forget, you know, either it's my earphones or something or my ID. So that's why you always have that catcher and have extra of these books. Because I'm telling you, every year somebody forgets their ID. Somebody won't have their ID, and you have to go back to the book, or we have to tell the follow vehicle, hold on. But you can't have enough. So we have 4. Yeah, we have 3 different of these books in the shuttle vehicle, the follow vehicle, and then in one of the cars too. That one of the scout car, just to be on the safe side. So, and I know someone asked, okay, what time do you guys leave Vegas? You know what? It's always better to be safe. So I know that they said 2 hours, you know, sometimes 3 hours. I think it was 2 years ago. I think there was a robbery on the Strip at Bellagio, and there was a takeover on a bus. So make sure you guys learn or figure out how to go the back way, whatever hotel they're staying at, because do not let them go down the middle of the Strip, because you guys all know if you get stuck in that Strip, you're going to be in there on traffic for at least an hour, you know. So,
Can't be
but
more
stuff
accurate.
happens, you know.
Industrial to Blue Diamond 160.
Yeah.
You're out of the crap, you're out of the glitz, and you're out of the lights. All your folks are going to be coming and joining you. The car has to be marked. That's very serious about a penalty. So for the youngster that's going to fly and get a rental car and drive out there, give them something like this. You tape it to the inside of your car. My car's a hunk of junk, but if you have a nice car, you don't want to use shoe polish and paint all over your car. All you have to do is just tape a number on your rental car, and you can get out. You can get out on the course. I prepare a race package. These guys, the good runners, they're all computers and they're on cell phones. I like to do a race package. Not all of you are going to be able to have a team captain's meeting. I get all my guys together. We do a training day in February, like one of our CPR day or one of those deals. And in that, I was going to make copies of this, but it's all changing now with the Rio and the construction. But I have their projected time, the time that they're going to run, the course description. I got the maps. You guys are going to be able to, February, you're going to get all this stuff printed up, the profile charts, just more information. You can never have too much information, like this gentleman just said, the construction, the closures, and all the stuff. And I give this to everybody, and I tell them, put it in your war bag now, because folks will get out there and they say, I don't have my ID, I didn't bring my package. Make them pack that. Put it in their car now. It's going to be a lot of construction, a lot of changes, and you guys aren't going to know that until February or March. Questions?
Chuck, as you guys listen to the different proposals and whether it's a very competitive team trying to win a mug, trying to win a category, or a fun team trying to get out there for the very first time, go through the race clean, no mistakes, no penalties, you get an idea of the size of the number of people involved in your team besides you. One person cannot do this. Even a team, a captain and a co-captain, you couldn't do this all yourself. You've got to go back now to your agency, your station, and you've got to begin to research and find who are all these other people. Who are these catchers? Who are these drivers? You can get a vehicle, that's fairly easy to do as far as renting a car. Then you take a look at the size of the budget. Minimums of $5,000, maybe as much as $10,000, depending on what level of sophistication you want to go to. To rent a room in Pahrump, they're going to ask you for a credit card. Are you going to start putting out your own personal credit card for this stuff? Because if you do, you'll never ever get reimbursed.
Not going to happen.
What it is. And you're going to shell out money, whether it's for fuel, for a gas, or a hot dog for a volunteer, whatever it is, you're just not going to get reimbursed. So that's just part of the ballgame. But take a look at what number of people they're talking about here. You know, whether it's the 25 runners whose sole job it is to run, nothing else, just run. Get in a van, be on time, run, and get back to Vegas. Or the number of drivers you're involved here. The size of this team begins to get bigger. As we try to explain, as Tony does, to the people we impact, every team is about 50 people, roughly speaking. Some even more than that, but that's about the average number. And so you've got to go back and say, where do you come up with those other 25? Who are they? And they'll tell you right now, they probably depended on some rock solid, reliable folks who've done it every year for 10 plus years. They've maybe gone to some one person who said they'll do it. They were a deadbeat. They never went back to them. Am I right?
Yeah.
So ask them how many people they use.
Question, sir.
Could I get a range of your budgets, what you guys come up with?
I use $4,500 and I use the entry fees $2,200. What I do in July, CHP overtime checks come in. If you put in your name, you own your leg, you ran it last year. I have 15 returning runners. They have to give me $100 if they want their name on their leg. If they don't have that $100 to me, they're fired. They're dead in the water. You get $100, non-refundable if they're a loser. If they don't, if somebody says I'm not showing up, well, you know what? It's just like if we back out of this race the last day. Sorry, those outhouses cost $34,000. Laprac's not going to give you a refund the day before the race if you can't make it. What do you do for cash?
4,500 is pretty much with experience though. You've got
4,500 is cheap though.
You got it honed in. I mean,
Tight.
That's tight, but we
How
get
many
vans
people on
donated.
your team?
I'm sorry, what?
How many people on your team?
I usually take about 40 to 45. I do not pay for the youngsters' rooms because they want to go put the pee back and party, and I don't care. So I'm on the golf course with Chuck on Monday. I'm just after. I don't do that stuff.
What about the elite guys?
So we're like 50. We have about like $5,000, $10,000 maybe. So it just depends.
They have no. They have nice.
And just so you guys know, because so the LAPD elite team, they don't have one sponsor. They don't have one spot. They have to pay everything out except for the entry fee. Because I was out there running with them a month ago. They have to pay for only thing they get is socks. That's all they get is socks.
So what's their budget?
They don't have it. They basically
But
from
they
what?
gotta spend, I mean, you guys gotta spend something, so you gotta.
No, I mean, everyone's got to pay for their own room. Like we don't pay for our runners' rooms and all that stuff like that. So they just get an entry fee. They pay the entry fee, which is whatever, $2,200, and then that's it. For our team, like I said, at our station, we have a booster. So we just go and ask them, hey, what the money is, and they give us what we want. So, yeah.
Get the calculator out. 2,200, right? Mark Abrams, the rock star's here for the radios, so make sure you talk to him. That's the guy I was telling you about. So good to see you, Mark. All right. Vehicles, you know what rent a cars, figure $1,500 minimum just to rent the cars, right? Gas.
Yep.
Who's going to pay for your command post? Are you going to have a command post? Who's going to pay for your Gatorade and water? Who's going to pay for your vest?
So what do you guys blow through?
Oh man, it's 10 plus.
Come on, give it
10 plus. 10 plus.
But it also depends on you. It also depends on everybody. I hate to pimp yourself out to the local dealers, to the businesses to get money. So I mean, there's a lot of car dealerships. That
Well, our jackets run, and we get them good. We get jackets, so that's going to be $4,500 for jackets.
Jacket. I've never seen a jacket.
$700 for t-shirts.
$700 for t-shirts. Bullshit.
Oh, I'm being honest. If you're going to do it,
But it's what you want. It's all what you want to do. And as each year goes by, you figure out what works, what doesn't work. Our command post, when we first started out, they all started way back. It was just your room with 2 beds in it. People jammed in there. We started getting bigger. Then we had the one. We got real slick. We had a main room with 2 connecting bedrooms on the side. Yeah, we were there. One year I got there late, and I said, "Hey, John, what room are you in?" We're at the Westgate. He says, "Go to the top floor, and walk all the way into the hallway." And I walked into these big porcelain statues. We were in the Elvis Presley suite. It was 7,000 square feet.
we got a great deal.
I need a number for my high maintenance co-captain.
Less than $5,000 if you don't want all the fluff. Right now, like they said, start going to your vehicle dealers. The big Cal Worthington Ford, they get lease return vehicles. If you tell them I'm going to need 2 minivans, they'll have 2 minivans, almost new, 30,000 miles on them. They will let you use them. When you bring them back, take them through a car wash because they're going to be trash. And if you have a child that knows how to use a computer, you can do some really nice letters. So,
Well,
yeah.
think about it. Are you just in it for 1 year?
Absolutely.
No, so you
You're in
got
it
to
for
back
life,
up,
brother.
right? You got to have backup to the backup. You shouldn't be blowing just because you got 10. Blow it all. So we're very. We don't blow it. We need it, but you got to have backup to the backup. You're either committed to the race or you're not.
A couple years ago, 1987, a company wanted to sponsor somebody. They said, we want a police department, we want a highway patrol. Chuck or Larry called and said, hey, this guy, but you got to name your team the Fanatics. I mean, oh, bullshit, we're the South LA Motor Cops. They gave NIPD $10,000. I will be the Fanatic right now for 10 grand. NIPD, the Fanatic, and it was a shoe company called ASICS. Never heard of them. They got, guess what? They're big shit right now. But 10 grand back then. If you guys got a sponsor, 501c, it's not going to happen. You guys, maybe if somebody can say they're advertising on their van, but if somebody wanting a tax ID number, absolutely not. This is not. You can't.
give them a
I thought there was
501.
limitations on that.
Very, very careful on that. If you have an Explorer thing and you're gonna use the Explorer's money, again, you're treading a slippery slope. It's not, you can't write it off unless Chuck knows something different.
A couple things about the money. The most important feature of the money is what is your agency's policy? Very important, because the last thing you want to do is have good intentions and have your butt in the hot water because you did something that the agency said you can't do. You did something that the commanding officer of your station says, don't do that, don't contact this person, don't do these things. So when you're looking at your money, you can go from the rock solid, poor man's budget to the most wealthy budget. You need to organize yourself to say, what can you do? Realistically, where can you get that money? 501c4, that is what the Revolver Club is. This is the host organization. They're a 501c4. That is not a charity. That is a membership-only private club, but it's not a charity. So when you go to a company and they say, we'll donate money to you as a charity, you have to tell them, you're not a charity. The organization is not a charity. So they've got to come up with some other means of giving you money. They can give it to you in advertising, they can do a lot of other things, but they cannot write it off as a charitable contribution. That's important for you when you start looking around. But you can see from this, as you begin to design your own team, vehicles, personnel, fuel costs, get out a piece of paper. If you've got a money cruncher at your station, you've got somebody that's good at that kind of stuff, well then, this is who you're going to contact and say, come help me, I need to figure out a budget. Take that to your commanding officer. This is how much money it's going to take for Newton Street Division to run this race. And then leave it up to your commanding officer to say, go in with a rock's bottom line budget, this is all you're going to get, make everybody do. I run on the retired team, each one of us pays $100 a person, non-refundable, $100 a head. That helps us offset our thing. We don't have anything but the very basics of a team. We go out as 20 runners in 20 vehicles. And whoever drives that vehicle is the catcher. That's how we function. Okay. But 20 cars more out there, yeah, that's a lot of cars and it's a pain. Somebody's got to park a mile away from the exchange point to walk back up, to be the catcher. Yes, all of that's complicated, but we go in with a pretty simple approach. You want to go in something more complicated, picking people up, taking them out to the race course, bringing them back. Now you're depending on people to be on time. No excuses, no reasons, no ifs, ands, or buts, on time. Leave without you.
Yeah, 55, 57, 605, all those freeways are under construction Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All those freeways can be closed. So if some youngster thinks, I'm going to get up at 3, the phone says I'm going to be at Baker at 5:15. It's not going to happen. Trust me. Get them part of the way there, or get them where you know where they are, so they can show up hours and hours early. You don't try to cut it close, because one little problem on the road, like you said, there was a robbery or whatever, bad news. Get out there hours early and be checked in.
For the 4 vehicles, is there like an average gas cost for that? You guys, with your experience doing it over
You'll burn it. It'll be a tank.
Just a tank per vehicle, and gas $1 cheaper a gallon in Nevada. But I usually on my budgets, follow van, captain's van, I put $110 in each envelope, and usually there's about $20-30 left after the event's over.
So $500 is good?
Absolutely. But start going to your car dealerships now, because if they could put Snow Ford all over the side of their, there's a lot of cops out here, there's a lot of business, a lot of folks want to help, and they will advertise. I would exercise caution, though, with your agency and your rules if it's somebody you regulate. DeSalvo Trucking is breaking down doors trying to get somebody out there, but they keep getting indicted for doing bad shit. And you know what? You don't want to be wrapped up with a tow company that's kind of shady. Tow companies love helping you, but does your agency regulate that company? If they do, it's a slippery slope. I would just politely decline. I'm sorry, you can't. Give the tow truck guy a T-shirt for free. Don't take a penny from him, because it's just not worth it. Questions? I just want to get this. Don't forget the reflector numbers you need, right? on that follow vehicle. Everybody know about that?
You'll buy them here.
10-9, I'm sorry, what is it?
The reflective numbers of your team. Got to be in the rear.
Where do you get those?
Here in January.
It has to be collected.
Smitty
Yes.
signs, you can get them online. He usually comes here, but I'd start getting those right away.
They'll sell them cheap.
There you go.
There's an extra one here. Anybody have an 8?
They're gonna cost you $20.
And so, and if you're like me and you're broke, this 8, you can cut it in half and make 2 3s, you know that? $5 a piece.
Is that from 87?
The guy, he'll be here in January, I take it, to sell these. You gotta have these 3, they gotta be on the back of the vehicle.
What are the teams doing now for like the official team sign at the top?
Ooh.
Is that
Totally up
something
to
that we have
you.
create on our own, or?
This guy who sells these numbers also makes those.
Yeah, you can order one here, I think about $200, is that what they cost?
$288, you get a beautiful
A nice
sign
one.
that lights up.
It has suction cups, it'll last,
We'll
it'll
put
last forever.
some writing on there,
It's like a
Acrylic type?
and it's not gonna come off. There's like 6
Yeah.
or 8 magnets on there,
It's the
man.
same idea as the Pizza Hut delivery guy, but it'll be turned sideways. They're really nice lights. When you see the pathetic hunk of junk that I have, well, but we don't have any money though, so we keep using that. It still works, but it's all jacked up. But anyway, just order a nice one, like they say, and hard wire it. Don't do the cigarette lighter. 10 millimeters to the battery with a dead man switch. You can turn it on and off. So then when you're driving from the high school to the start line, you're going 60 miles an hour, 18 miles. That thing's going to blow off if you have a big old sign that's a monstrosity. I always see vans pulled over. Shit, they're working on it. If you really want to do a big sign, like the homicide guys have a really beautiful one, they have it laid flat. Then they pull up to vehicle inspection, and they stand it up and strap it down. Because now you're going to be going 8 miles an hour, and the wind will not take it away.
Yeah, you put it on after you get
To the staging area.
to the staging area. But it'll stay on there. If you get from Smitty signs, it's really industrial.
Yeah, they're nice.
So when is that, when are they coming for that?
January, he'll be here. You can contact him, order it, pick it up the next month. And same thing on your shirts. Don't spend a month. You got to get your shirts. They need to get these shirts out of here. They have 100 cases of shirts. So what I do every year, I just get 3 small, 7 mediums, 10 large, 3 extra, and 2 double X. I pick up my 25 shirts and I take them. If someone says, no, I need a different size, just lie and say it'll shrink or it'll stretch out or something. Give them the shirt and be done with it. And then that's one t-shirts, that's one less thing you have to worry about. Don't spend a month chasing to get people's size because they're not going to know their size anyway. If you're like this guy and you're a stud, they're all going to have medium or large or small. So my guys are all chubby.
You don't have to wait till January. You can get Smitty Signworks in El Monte.
Don't wait.
Smitty Signworks, he's in El Monte.
And I know we're talking about like follow vehicles and all that stuff, but make sure you guys test your runners too, because in February you guys have to submit your estimated time, and you guys may put that you're running too fast or you're running too slow. So, and if you guys are submitted a time where you're running slow and you guys actually run a lot faster, they're going to make you guys stop in the middle of the race. So make sure you guys start doing time trials and start getting your guys out there to run, because once you submit that estimated time, if you say your team's going to run 20 hours and you guys are somehow you guys end up with some fast runners, and it happened I think 2 years ago or 3 years ago, Van Nuys had to slow down. Van Nuys division they had to stop them, and they were actually killing it, but that actually hurt them because all of a sudden you're in this groove, you're in this momentum, and they make you stop, and you had to wait out there for an hour. Now your runner who's ready to run sits in the car for an hour. It slows down. So make sure you guys give some type of accurate time which you guys feel you're going to run.
You can't sandbag it because the course is not set up. If you say you're an 18-hour team, but you're really a 14-hour team, you start at 9 a.m., there's no volunteers, there's no Las Vegas police. You can't sandbag it. You got to, like he says, February, get your runners. You got to have an idea of what they can do.
What's the appropriate like window? Like, what window do we have when it comes to time, like estimating time, like?
Like, when is that estimated time due, or?
No, like, so say if we turn in our time, we're running a little faster or whatever, but what's that window?
Oh, if you're 45 minutes one way or the other, it's not going to matter. But some people, though, there'll be a really fast team, and they'll say, we're running 20 hours. And the reason is they sandbag because they want to be no parking problems. They want to be out in the virgin desert with no humans.
But with no humans means there's no Las Vegas police, there's no motorhome volunteers, which means you're not running, and Chuck is going to go like this, and you think he's nice now, wait till you see that, you're stopping. You can do a stopwatch, you can do whatever, but you're stopping. You're 2 hours ahead of your estimate. That's just too much. It happens every single year, and then we have guys that are 5 seconds off their estimate. Last year I think there was one, 12 minutes off. I mean, incredible time. So, Chuck? No, you'll do your estimated time form. So you find out what your runners do, and you figure out the leg, because the legs are there was construction last year, so there was a few changes. By January, they'll let you know. Should have a good idea on exactly what's going to go on in the construction zone. But then you estimate. So like if your first runner starts at 9 a.m., because we're slower than crap, he said he could run in 55 minutes. So runner 2 is starting at 9:55. You just use mathematics and you figure out where they are. I always write the Timex time, and usually I am within 5 minutes of what it is. But I've done this like a few years. So.
What is that book?
Yeah, this is the same book, and you notice
87. They didn't have those in 87.
No, look at the night.
So yeah,
No,
87.
Jeff said you never have the same number twice. Look at, we were 113 twice. We were slower than shit. That's when they had 114 teams. Remember these? So anyway, estimated time is very, very important.
So the official estimated time is what I'm saying.
Chuck will explain. Okay, the estimated time, yes, is due in February, and that's when you sit down during the month of January, early part of February, and you try to come up with who are your runners and how fast are they. This is not a flat course. From Baker, from the starting line to Las Vegas, is a net gain in elevation of about 2,000 feet. You're going to go over 2 very significant mountain passes before you get into Las Vegas. So estimating a time based on what a person runs around the academy here is an art, not necessarily a science. You have to really kind of sit and figure this out. And when you put your runners into positions they're going to run, and as Steve says, when you take your fastest runner and you say you're going to run the hardest leg. If you're a competitive team, that's what you have to do. And that's what your runners have to be willing to accept. If they're very good, they're going to run a hard stage. When you come up with that idea of what is your estimated time, from that estimated time, Tommy, myself, and some other fellows will sit down and we'll try to put together what's the start time. If you are a fun team that's going to run 10 minutes a mile, you're starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. Okay, that's what's going to happen. And if in fact you don't run 20 hours, you run 19 hours, then maybe somewhere is in that situation we do have to stop you because you're going too fast. Exchange points aren't ready for runners, and we're going to stop you if that were to happen. It's going to be an early morning start, an 8 o'clock or a 9 o'clock starting team that generally are going out there a little too fast. They thought they were slow, but they really aren't that slow, and then we have to necessarily stop them. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, only about 25 teams will start, and they're all under 14 hours. So they're very good. We don't have a problem with them. They go out hard, and they catch people in between. So estimated times is something that is important to do. It's important that you're accurate. Tony will later on go over a report, and he's right.
How many
But
miles
what is
is
it doing,
that?
you said? What is it doing?
February, right, Tony?
February 15th. That estimated time is for how many miles?
It is for the entire race course, 120
How
miles.
many miles do we have to estimate the time for that each runner?
whatever they're running. How many
Yeah.
miles are they running?
whatever they
Your whole team. I'm talking about your team time. I don't care about your individual.
No, but I'm saying, like, when we take them out to do the trial run.
Okay, all right. If you're going to have a tryout and teams go here from Scott's fun team to a very, very competitive team, but all of them take all of their runners and they run a course. 3 miles, 5 miles, 6 miles, whatever it might be, the same course, around the station if necessary, up here at the academy, Griffith Park, wherever, run the same course, run everybody.
It's an average run, and then you figure out who your fastest people are out of that average.
You take them out and you ask them to run as hard as they possibly can run 4 or 6 miles. And those that are very good are gonna run 6 miles extremely fast. Those that think they're good are gonna start out fast and poop out. That's common, okay? So, but from that estimated situation, from that tryout course, you'll be able to see, okay, I've got this fast runner, these slow runners. Now, where do you put those people? How do you begin to build that package that says, here's the best that 20 people can do? And if you look at the rule book and you look at chapter 8 of the rule book, it describes every single stage. It describes the difficulty attached to that stage. And again, most difficult course, leg 15, 6.4 miles of nothing but uphill. Goes to the top of Ibex Pass. Mountain Springs Pass. So you take your very fastest runner and say, okay, this is your job. You're going to run that stage. Next one is 10.7 miles. Again, difficult, long, but not a big climb like that.
He's like, I'm not 14.
10.7 miles.
10.7 miles, so what you guys are gonna do now is find, like, he's gonna use his marathon runner. It's gonna be a good runner. Find a guy that can run a marathon, because there's a very good chance you're gonna have a 30-mile-an-hour headwind for 10 miles. That is absolutely brutal at 2 o'clock in the morning. You need a good, strong runner. We bring our runner and our alternate right here to Elysian, and they run for 2 hours, and I time them. If they want that run, they're probationary. They have to do it whether they like it or not. You gotta do your practice runs on the hill. That uphill, run up Mountain Springs Pass, let me tell you, I know every step of the way, and it sucks. It's steep. So your hill runners have got to train on a hill.
Is it recommended that captain can run?
I've done it 35 times, and I'm going to do it again. Shit, yes. No, if you've never done it before, maybe you better sit in the van there, bucko. No, but you got to have someone move your van, and make sure that you can stay up for 18 hours, which I put in my notes. Have a lawn chair, because if you're a captain and you're going to be up, I'm up for 24 hours, but I sit in a lawn chair and I rest. And I don't have to run a mile to check somebody in, because I have good people that are helping to get this runner up there, get your catcher. Harbor Freight Tools. When you go by Harbor Freight Tools, you guys all get the coupon, 20% off. Those vests are 99 cents. Get a dozen of those reflectorized vests. That way, a catcher doesn't have to try to find you to give you the vest back.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up. We'll take one last question.
Real quick. Are you going to talk about the categories? Like, we're reserved, so...
January, with the meetings.
Okay, at the meetings.
We will. Anyone else specifically about team logistics?
One thing more, though, about running as a team captain, and my advice to you, if you choose to do this, is run within the first 3 stages. Run the first 3 stages, because anything after that, you will be stretched out with all the problems that occur, and the running around, and if you try to run late, you'll be so exhausted by the time your team reaches 16, 17, 18, 20, you'll just go disappoint yourself in how slow you'll run because you're not tired. So just run the first part of it.
For you guys, we want you back here. I know, especially first timers, you're gonna think about it, but we want you back here. You're what makes the race work. So if you want to see me after we break up here, we'll be back here. I'll give you my phone number, email, you can call me, contact me anytime you want, and I'll help you in any way you can. And all I ask is after the race, if you want to sit and debrief about what happened, how it went, we can do that in Vegas too. We can relax and have a good one.
Last thing I'll tell you about food, I know we're running out of time. You guys are planning on you have a good volunteer that's gonna, hey, my so-and-so's gonna come out and cook for us. Leg 5, it's not gonna happen. 30-mile-an-hour gust of wind blows all the food away, blows sand. Best thing for a team captain, hit like a Giuliano's Deli, get 40 torpedo sandwiches, roll them up in that wax paper, put them in the ice chest. That way you can hand your runner when he's done, give the runner and catcher a sandwich, they're gone, because there is no food. There is no food out there. So sandwiches are the way to go. Pre-packaged, pre-made, pass them on.
Okay, last one. Let's take 10 minutes and we'll wrap it up. Thank you.
And come get our phone numbers, guys. We're all totally available to help you. I will come out.
broadcaster station and stuff like that. Yeah, my wife's
What's the meeting following this? What's the one after this?
Tony is going to give a live stream team captain's information.
Kind of like the one we had like last.
Now you can sit through it if you like, or you can take off.
What time does that one start?
When we're done here, probably about noon.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're not done right yet. There's
Oh
some
no,
more
I got
we're
some
about
more I
to
want
do?
to cover here.
Oh,
Just a little
okay.
bit.
I see people like leaving.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to gather them back in.
Okay.
Come on back in,
Nobody ever wants to get you know what? We got somebody who's willing to give
Okay, folks, I know that was a lot to cover, and it's tough to give 30 or 25 or 15 years of experience as a team captain and push it into your heads in a short span of time. But again, the more organized you can be, then the better it is for you. And absolutely spend the time at it. And if you spend the time at really organizing yourself and your team and your coach and everything else that is attached to the race, then from the Friday when you arrive in Vegas, or Thursday if you come in early, until Sunday at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning when the race is concluded, you'll have spent that whole time in a reasonably relaxed form. If you're disorganized, you will not be relaxed. You'll be frantic. You'll be pulling your hair out. People will be calling you all kinds of names. Some of them probably accurately, but you'll be called all kinds of names if you do this wrong, if you screw up. Make a mistake? Yeah, we're all going to make a mistake out there somehow. But if you minimize all of that by just relaxed planning, you'll eliminate most of those kind of errors. The race rules written by Larry and myself a long, long time ago, looking at this race, realizing that you are cops. If you're not cops, you're certainly highly related and close to it. And that's good enough. And because you are, makes it a different kind of race out there. Okay? People look at you, and they look at you differently. The Barstow commanding officer of the Highway Patrol has one tough assignment. It is their responsibility for most of Highway 15 that leads to Vegas, right along with the Nevada Highway Patrol that leads from the border into Vegas. If you take your time and you plan, there is no reason to speed. If you've got people on your team that are late souls, they're going to think they can make it up driving fast on the roadway out there. If you do, you're going to get stopped. The instructions are simply to the Highway Patrol, if it's necessary, then you write a ticket. If that isn't necessary, then you inform the race coordinator of a screw-up. That comes to the Rules Committee. The Rules Committee is going to call you, and they're going to say, you are going to suffer a severe penalty for somebody on your team screwing up. Everybody on your team number is attached to you. Directly, indirectly. Long time ago, Death Valley Relay, long before most of you were born, did not involve any family. It involved strictly the runners, that was it. This involves your family, your extended family. I see kids out there, I see grandma out there, I see all these folks out there on the race course cheering on their runner. That never happened before. But they're attached to your team. If they screw up, you suffer the penalty. So the rules are written to keep us absolutely safe out there, as safe as humanly possible. And as you look through the rules, they're pretty common sense, easy to look at rules. I looked through the rules violations of last year. 1 penalty for not carrying the baton. It's a simple rule. It says you must carry the baton in your hand, one or the other. This person had an attachment built so they could put it into that attachment and not carry the baton. One of our rule enforcers happens to see that, writes down the infraction, they get the penalty. True, 5-minute penalty attached to a team might not matter to a slow team. But if you look at the results of last year and look at the category results and see what separates the first 3 teams of any one of those categories, and you'll find it's less than minutes. Sometimes it's only seconds. 120 miles and you'll win or lose by 10 seconds. And 10 seconds is not having your shoelaces tied on time. A mere seconds involved. So look at the rules. Don't commit a rule violation out of ignorance. They're common sense. They're easy to look at. The major ones, the disqualification rules. We've only had to disqualify a few teams in all the years in history of this race. But the disqualification is so severe. 1, you'll be looking for another job. You'll be looking for someplace else to work. Because when you go back to work, if you've screwed up big enough or somebody on your team has to cause you to be disqualified, there's no hole small enough for you to climb into. It is that severe. These are alcohol on the race course. Absolutely not allowed. Not allowed. And all this time, the only DUI I ever picked up out there was some citizen who thought he was taking a shortcut and drove on the race course DUI. Inyo County seat is Independence. That's 400 miles from the race course. He was driven 400 miles and his car was impounded 400 miles. So by the time he was there, he was, I'm sure, stone sober, and his car probably cost $1 zillion to get it out of the tow yard. We've never had a problem like that. Scott mentioned earlier about talking back, one of his officers talking back to one of our volunteers. We don't allow that. Absolutely do not allow that. You got a hothead on your team, then you have to sit on him. You got to babysit him if necessary, or leave him home. Somebody's got to work. Leave them home. No hotheads, no talking back, no verbal abuse, not accepted whatsoever. Okay? Your volunteer, a key person. Your volunteer you give to Tony to assign to the race course. That individual has one very big responsibility. Show up on time and work. They'll leave when the OIC of the station says the station's closed, everybody can leave. That's their assignment. If they fail to do that, if they fail to show, then you're disqualified. Very important. We cannot have that. So your volunteer position, the person you choose to do this has got to be responsible, has to be willing to work. And as long as that's the case, you won't have any problems. So be sure you picked out a person that's willing to do that. The rule book is set up in a format that makes it easy to copy it and to give it to the people who are involved. There's a section for runners. There's a section for follow vehicle drivers and other drivers. Give that copy to them. Tell them to read it. If they've got questions, get back to you. Get back to Tony if you have a question. But otherwise, make sure they understand the rules. Runner registration. Runner registration and the password to get into that link will be given to you a little later this month. That link puts you into a system that says now download or print in here who are your runners and in what order are they going to run. You can begin to do that as long as you know who are these people early on. If you don't know any of that information, go on to the link and put your name as the captain, your team name, and at least stop right there. That tells Tony that you know how to get into the link and how the system works. And then eventually, all of your runners go into the system. In the order in which they're going to run, it goes into this system. Last name, first initial. We don't need to know all of their first names of anyone except stage 11. The stage 11 runner runs through the town of Pahrump. And as in years past, the town of Pahrump will announce your name as a team, that individual's name as they pass right by the hotel where they set up. It's a nicety that they enjoy doing, and we're happy to provide them the opportunity to say, what's that runner's first name, what's their last name, where are they from? Otherwise than that, it's last name, first initial. You can change that all the way up till Monday of race week. And at 10 o'clock on Monday of race week, the system is shut off. Now we have captured your 20 runners, whatever alternates you have, in the order in which they're going to run. If you have not given us 20 runners, and you've only given us 19 because you weren't sure about that 20th person, and it's after 10 o'clock, then you can be sure we're going to give you a phone call. Because we can't download that information until everything is set. That 7,000 runners has to be set before the system will download. So don't make us have to call you. It's a pain in the butt to have to call, to chase you around. And chasing you around first is you as a captain to your cell number. Answer your phone. When you see this number pop up, answer your phone. Don't wait for a text message from me. Now, I'm not going to send you one. I'm going to call you. Then I'm going to call the co-captain. And when I can't reach either one of you, I'm going to call the station. And if I can't reach the watch commander, I'm going to ask for the chief of police or the sheriff. I will get somebody at your station to find you if that becomes necessary. Let's not go to that much effort. Team briefing. The last opportunity you have to know what's going to happen on that race course is Friday afternoon. At the briefings that occur, two of them, 5:30 to 6:30, is a briefing held for all of your support drivers, follow vehicle, transport drivers. 5:30 to 6:30. At 7 o'clock is a team captain's briefing. Again, to you, the team captains, what's going to happen? What are any last-minute changes or situations that are going to occur? Those are the two briefing times. From 3 o'clock in the afternoon until 6 o'clock, runner registration will be open at the hotel. You will bring us one document. That is your team waiver form. All of your runners will sign that team waiver form. You'll turn that in. The staff there will give you your run log. This is your official run log. It shows the 20 runners in the order in which they're going to run as of 10 o'clock that Monday. Between 10 o'clock Monday and 3 o'clock in the afternoon Friday, you'll have made a change. One or two changes. Okay, we accept that, we understand that. You take your run log, you get out your pencil and you pencil out Smith and you write in Jones. And you move this runner to that position. You do whatever you need to do. Yeah.
Do your alternates sign that waiver too on the next?
Everybody that's going to run. And as Scott mentioned and as other team captains here mentioned, I take everybody, including the follow vehicle drivers, everybody. Because you never know what's going to happen out there, and you all of a sudden need that person who never intended to run, now needs to run. So yes, everybody. Turn in the waiver, we give you the run log. Change the run log to fit your situation, give that run log to your follow vehicle, and now they know the order in which they're going to run. Does your follow vehicle crew, that's the driver and the observer and the alternate, do they know the runner that's running? You're coming from a small agency? I'm assuming you do. If you're coming from a very big agency spread all over the place, you might not. You just know a number, and that's all you might know. Well, okay, that happens. But if you have to make a change in the field because somebody didn't show, then again, it's the follow vehicle's job to pick a pencil and say, this person is a no-show, and write in the alternate's name. the alternate runs. Results. Everything goes to plan. 11 o'clock Sunday morning. A set of unofficial results will be posted in front of the war room. And there you'll have an opportunity as team captains to look at the unofficial results and say, how did you do? Did you go through this race without a problem? No mistakes? No penalties? There's your official time. Now you wait for something to come out in official order. But this is your unofficial set of results that'll be posted at 11 o'clock. If you see a penalty attached to your team, now you have the opportunity to say, yes, we did that. We'll take the 5 minutes or the 10 minutes or whatever it might be. Or we want to dispute that. And if you want to dispute that, the war room is prepared to hold a conference, a meeting, with you explaining what really did happen and that you're not the guilty party. Oh. Any questions there? Yeah.
Will those results also be posted on the website?
Yes, they get posted onto the website unofficially, and you'll see them there as well. So if you weren't available to come right down there at 11 o'clock, you're staying at a different hotel, then you could look at that. But again, if you see a penalty and you want to dispute it, then you better gather all your information, come down to the war room, and make your pitch. Important though, as you look at the unofficial results and you see that you have no penalty, but a team that is in your same category does have a penalty, then you look at the time difference. They have a 10-minute penalty and you lost by 6 minutes. If they continue with that 10-minute penalty, you'll win by 4. But if that penalty is dismissed, you still lose. Now you need to be able to look at this. Is it important to you or not? So it's your choice to look at this. But to come running in after it's been posted official and say, what happened? We were winning the category and now we're in second place. And they say, well, that 10-minute penalty of that team was disputed. They won their kangaroo court and it was taken off. So it's important to see, how does this affect you? What does that war room situation do? They'll begin their they'll begin their holding cases at 11 o'clock. I'm gonna miss my time here. At 4 o'clock, official results are posted. Same way, on the internet and in front of the war room. Official results are posted. These are official and they won't be changed. Teams have come into me in the past and said, hey, you know, we did something really wrong out there, but we weren't caught, we didn't get a penalty. I said, listen, I'm not changing it now. You could bring a dead body right here. We're not changing it. It's done, it's done. It's too difficult to untangle all those things. When the official results are posted, every single team gets a plaque. In the office downstairs right now are plaques from 2017, 2018, 2019. There are no mugs. That got taken care of, but there are plaques down there. Tony holds on to them for a while, and when he finally gets tired of them, he throws them out. You get a plaque. No matter where you finish in this race, you get a plaque. We'll pick it up. It's a pain to have it brought all the way back here, me to call you and say, hey, come down here and get your plaque. Don't do that. Top 50% of the teams in every category will get a mug. 24 mugs, 2 cases of mugs. You want more than that? Then look at the information, and sooner or later Tony will post, where do you purchase more mugs if you win mugs? You'll get 24 if you're in the top 50% of the category you choose to run in. You really want to look at this hard and study it, figure out what category best fits you, then look at last year's results and say, do we have a chance? Is there a chance here? Or is there no chance in hell? What is it? So the results will get posted. Now, to my favorite subject, running. Training. And there's a big, big difference between racing and running. Okay, anybody own a horse here? No horse owners? Dog owners? Anybody own a greyhound? They're bred to race. Not to run, they're bred to race. There's a big difference between the two. The first question for you is, what's your goal? What is your goal? Get in the race, run, get from finish line to the start line to the finish line, okay? Is it just for fun? You mean to, how many here try to win a mug? None of you want to win a mug here? Okay, well, yeah, all right. Well, if you want to win a mug, you got to be in that top half. Okay? The sheriff's homicide, been in the race now for many years. When they first approached to say they wanted to run in the race, their goal was lose, I think, 2,000 pounds off of all their runners. And to finish. That was their goal. That's it. Well, they haven't changed a whole bunch since then. Okay? They still want to lose weight and they still want to finish, but they know they're not going to win a mug. And there's many teams here that realize they can't win. It's just not in the cards for them to do that. If that's what you want to do, then obviously you've got to find runners, and you've got to find runners that like to run. If you have runners that like to run, do they like to train? Or are they the kind of runner that just says, I'm going to run this stage, and the only training they do is take their sweats off and tie their shoes, and then trot the rest of the way? If you look at the race and you watch the goings-on out there, as I've seen it over all these years, there are plenty of people that walk their entire stage. Well, God bless them for coming out there. At least they complete your team, but they walk the whole stage. They don't run, they don't jog, they walk. All right. There are runners that come out there and try to run 6-minute mile pace. There are a few of those. And sometimes they are successful, depending on how hard did they train. The very, very good teams train for the race. If they're going to run hills, they train on hills. If they're going to run downhill, they train on downhill. What's your approach? Can you make people run that don't want to run? No, you can't. If you're just looking out there for people that are willing to complete 4 miles or 5 miles, and you don't care how fast they do it, well, then don't care. Just make sure they have running shoes on and that they can do it. That's all you need to do. But training is an entirely different situation. Depending on what area of the world you're coming from, all you have to do is go to the local college or the local successful high school. Barstow. Most all of you know where Barstow is located. Barstow, for its purpose in this world, has one of the better cross-country high school programs in the state of California. When you look at Barstow, you want to go, how's that possible? It is hotter than blazes out there, or it's freezing cold. But for whatever reason, they're successful. Well, if you go to somebody that's successful in your area as a running coach and say, I have these 20 runners, how can that person help you? You'll find that most of the time they're willing to help you. They'll be willing to help, maybe even use part of their facility. You never know. But if you want to do well, then you have to train. You can't just walk out there cold turkey and try to do well. Even experienced runners, that just isn't going to work. So you do have to approach your idea from a training standpoint and a racing standpoint. I know plenty of people that love to run, but they're lousy racers because they just don't experience it. And you have to experience that to really understand just how fast can you push yourself. The first 7 stages of the race, for the most part, done in the daytime, is probably the most dangerous part of the race course because in all likelihood, it's going to be hot. And it's different to go outside right now and realize you will not overheat in 50-degree rainy weather. But if it's 90 degrees and it's 2% humidity, yeah, then you will overheat. And even though you're a good trained racer, that does not mean that it's not possible for you to have to realize the circumstances of what you're trying to race, and it isn't going to work. So all of us has to come into play with good coaching, experience, understanding of what it takes to really run hard. So make sure that if that's your goal, seek out some help. You'll find there's lots of it out there. Colleges, high schools, junior colleges. Walk into the cross country to the distance coaches there, cold turkey. Knock on that door and I'm sure they will help you. They will help you try to figure out what's the best thing to do. But trying to find the runners, I know I talked to one chief here that mentioned he only had 25 runners right now. And that's the best that they can come up with. That is going to be very difficult for that team to be successful. This is the highest point right now of teams accepted into the race. It will shrink. It shrinks for a couple of reasons. Not because you lack money. You can scrounge around and try to make do with less money. It shrinks because you lose your runners. You go from 30 to 22 to 18. And when you reach 18, you're calling Tony up and saying, we can't do this. We don't have enough people. We've lost our runners. We've lost our key person. We've lost that person. Yeah. So right now, your big obligation is, do you have enough runners to make this happen? Do you have your 30, 35 people interested? Because interest is one thing, doing is another. And if you call your 35 people up and say, hey, tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock in front of the station, we're going to go for a run. You'll go from 35 to 10 very fast. That's just the nature of the beast. Anything about the running of the course and training that I can help you with right now? It's a tough course. Like I said, it's tough. No question about it. It's an uphill situation.
Do you guys have examples of training plans?
You know, I've tried to do that in the past, to put together a training program of some sort. It just doesn't fit. It really depends on who are your runners. Now, I'll be happy to help you. You can contact Tony and I'll help you if you have who are your runners and how do they want to train. Trained lots of people over the years, run lots of races over the years. Yeah, I can help you there. But the big thing is, who are your 30 people? Who are your key people? To be competitive in this race, you have to have 7 very tough, hard-nosed runners. 7. If you do not have 7, then you're going to ask somebody that's not a very good runner to run a very hard stage. And when you do that, you can depend that they're going to have to walk. They're going to have to slow jog. They're going to have to really gut it out to make it off of one of those 7 tough stages. 15, the hardest in the race course. Done in the middle of the night, uphill the whole way, 6.4 miles. They go up to 5,000 plus feet. Try running at 5,000 feet if you're not prepared for it, and you'll find out the elevation, there's a lot of hurt there. 10.7 miles, yeah. You got to be a half marathoner. You got to be a pretty good distance runner to go 10.7 miles. So those 7 stages, and they're identified in the book there, are hard to do. You got to have those 7 bodies. After that, you can fill in. Chief of police. Happened to meet with him and talk to him, and he says, I want to run. And I said, okay. I thought he wanted to run the last stage. No, I want to run early. Okay, well, there's one stage early. Stage 2, 4 miles. Relatively easy. That's his stage. He can run 4 miles, and he's not a runner. But he's willing to do it. So for the retired team, he steps right in there and runs that 4 miles. So there are some relatively easy stages in this race course. And depending on who are your runners, where do you put those kind of individuals on those stages, and where are the hard ones? Tony has the due dates. I'll let him go over these due dates. Please stick to the information. Again, Tony makes a call or I make a call to you, you're going to see 221-5222 flash up on your phone. You know, don't just hit decline because that number pops up.
Okay, we're going to wrap up this meeting. I will give you the due dates if you need them. Right at noon, I'm going to begin another live stream to the rest of the team captains out there. So you're more than welcome to stick around, have a smiling face at least I can look at. Hotel rooms, I don't know if this was covered or not, but the Rio is the host hotel. As of today, we're about 65% booked on our room block. So I jump on that ASAP to get that done, because that's going to go pretty fast. And I forget how many in the room block, do you remember? There's a large number of rooms.
4,400 room nights.
4,400 room nights, and we're 60% at that mark already. So get on that, make sure you reserve your room.
Just go through the B2V website. It all links you through, puts you right in with our code, and gets you right in.
I'll talk a little bit about the refund schedule because you're on new team captains, and I know I got a number of calls from you about refunds. Again, the stuff I'm covering right now, I'm going to cover in the regular meeting coming up. But you pay the $2,200. Today was the deadline. If you quit by the end of the month, which is December 31st, you get the full refund back. So you've got a couple days to get it going. From January the 2nd through February the 5th, that drops down to $1,200 back. From February the 6th through March the 4th, you get $900 back. March the 5th through the 27th, it's $700. And anything after that, there's no refund. So, you know, I know you're trying to get your team together, and hopefully you'll get there. I know there's a couple on the bubble right now just itching to hear some word about whether they're going to be able to run or not. So you do have some time on these refunds. Don't panic just yet. Here are the due dates for that T-shirt order. For us to accurately order the correct sizes for the T-shirts, we have to have that order in by February the 5th. Once we get those T-shirt orders from you, and you'll do that, you'll submit that online through the website. Under the Team Captains button, scroll down, you'll see T-shirt order form. Fill that out, hit the submit button, and it comes to me directly. But once you've done that, there's not going to be any switching on the sizes. So make sure that you can get the best accurate guess that you can at this point, and you'll have up until February the 5th to do it. The switching of the sizes, if we have any, will take place at the Friday night meeting in Las Vegas after the team captains check-in is closed. It'll be around 7 p.m. if you need to swap out sizes, and if we have them, that's when that'll take place. So if you can, get those sizes as best you can by February the 5th. There's a bunch of deadlines in February. Next one would be the category form. That's also on February the 5th. Now, the categories are listed in Chapter 1 of the rule book. But right now, they're being worked on by the committee to get the correct wording in there. And so Chapter 1's not up on the website just yet, but it will be shortly. In Chapter 1, it has all of the categories listed. And you'll have to go one by one, figure out which category you best fit in, and make your decision. But that deadline we need is February the 5th on the category. Now, I know that you might have to change that category between that February 5th deadline and the actual race. That happens. Here's an example. You're in the women's category, or you're in the mixed category where you need at least 5 females, and say you have 1 female drop out, and you're unable to replace that person with another female. That'll bump you out of that mixed category. That's the type of circumstance we're talking about where you'll be bumped, where you might have to change your category. And we understand that. We'll take those changes all the way up, almost till race day. But at some point, we have to order the awards. And when we do that, that cannot change. Once those plaques and mugs are made, There's no change in that. How much time I got, Rue?
8 minutes.
Okay, so we're going to have to wrap this up right now. What I'm repeating right now will be repeated on the team captains seminar coming up at noon. I do appreciate all of you coming out in this weather today. Thanks. If you have any questions right now, myself or Chuck will be around. Thank you very much.
And those teams that did submit their T-shirt form, come on up, we'll give you a shirt.
So we have a guy who basically just went from Lancaster Station over to Major Prince, but they